6:30. An open meeting to approve minutes, March 20th. Anybody got any omissions or corrections to the minutes?
I have some of both. On the front page, when we told Mr. James to look at some of the towns, we mentioned, we referenced Concord and Sudbury. I'd like to add in, we talked about Lincoln as well. On the second page, I just have wordsmithing, just a couple corrections on
Okay.
page 2, and then nothing on 3 and 4.
Anna?
I actually didn't see the minutes.
So I will, Jim?
I have a question about the bike rack on the last one. The bike rack will be more than 50 feet from the wetland resource area. I wanted to confirm that that was correct. I thought it was closer to that.
I can't confirm it now, but I can confirm
No,
it.
that's,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Another
Yeah,
file
Yeah,
today.
let's just double check.
Yeah.
I move that we accept the minutes as amended.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain because I didn't see them.
Good
It's just
night.
administrative, so you're allowed to vote. Okay. All right.
Administration
Okay.
discussion connecting bike trail from Goldsmith Street, 119 Church Meadow property. Does anybody want to speak to that?
Yep. So with us tonight is Jerry Cavallo from the Trust.
Come on.
Actually, okay. Tonight I represent the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. We'd like to connect Route 2A to Goldsmith Street to move people from where the housing is to where the stores are. And we've been working with the planning board, with 2 new developments that are going in, Church Meadows and a place called Wellington Drive. And I'm sorry, my visual aids aren't that good, but I do have a plot plan. And the reason this affects you, this is the trail, goes from Route 2A over here, and Goldsmith here, and this is Church Meadows, which is your property. So we've been working with the Fields, and they're willing to put a right-of-way through their property, but they won't pave it, and we really want to make it handicap accessible as well. But the way they've arranged their property is very tight against your borderline. There's a nice rock wall that goes down here with these beautiful oak trees on it. And they're really tight against there, and they're very far along in development. In fact, it may have been approved by now. And but they've also donated a lot of open space here, so we didn't really want to mess it up too much. But they did agree to go along that rock wall from 2A, connect to Wellington, and over to Goldsmith Street. But the problem is all the oak trees are on their side of that rock wall. So what we wanted to do was just explore with you, the board, if they would be willing to let us put the trail along the far side of the rock wall. There's a farmer's shed there, and it'd be between the farmer's shed and the rock wall to go along and then cut back over lower on the property and head over to Wellington. And first of all, that would enable us to save those oak trees, I believe, because they're on the far side of the wall. And it would also give us some leverage to work with the Fields to see if they could actually pave it. Because all they're willing to put on the other side of the wall is just stone dust.
I think you've got some significant wetland crossings. That would be the biggest issue that I can think of, getting across there.
What they want to do is to take Field's plan and overlay that of what they're looking at.
Yeah, and even so, to get across that brook or whatever you wanna call it through there, it's,
So it has to be paved in order to be ADA compliant? Stone dust seems,
It is, yeah.
It is, 88.
You'll find other communities down in Concord.
Well, the other thing we like is when things are cleared in the wintertime, which is evident from now as well. It's much easier for the highway department to take care of it if it's paved. Because you lose a lot of use in the winter if it's just a summer path, and we really like people to get used to using it.
You'd really want to look at the access of where that would go through, because wetlands is certainly an issue, and then cross drainage and things like that.
So if it's not paved, it would be easier to get close
So
to,
you probably wouldn't be able to access it year round though, if it's in a wet area,
yeah.
for sure.
I believe the crossing down near Wellington Drive, isn't that where Steve Marsh is taking out the culvert? So something would have to be,
Yeah.
There's a current road we're gonna be going over through the Steve Marsh area. And
Yeah.
he's building right up to the, we can go back there and look, Rick Finley has, laid this out, and, he says it's doable, but I guess we need to relook at it. Probably this weekend would be a great time to see if it's wet, right?
It will be.
But I didn't really wanna get
That's habitat
permission
area
from
as
you.
well. Mhm.
So ultimately, what you're asking right now is not about the viability, I mean, they're interconnected, but not just the viability of crossing the wetland, but accessing Church Meadows to,
To see if you'd be open to
To
the
install,
idea of
okay.
having a trail along the Church Meadows side of that rock wall. Because we don't want to talk to the builder about it if you folks aren't in favor of it.
I'm not sure you can, because that's ag land, and it's part of ag land.
Oh, that's right.
Can ag land not be used for any recreation?
Well, you're renting the land out to a farmer that wants to get the utilization out of the property.
But if they're gonna be right along the wall,
Well-
will that affect it?
There's a lot of trees along there, so typically things don't grow very well under the trees.
We'd have to walk it.
You have to
Yeah.
explore it.
I'd like to encourage biking.
Maybe like a fence in between the path and the field.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
huge
that would be
wetland.
expensive.
That's habitat down there as well.
It would be hard.
I think, one of us is happy to go out and walk through to look at the proposed area. There are some things you really have to consider for it, because it is what's considered national, heritage, habitat on, Mr. Marsh's side as well.
Okay.
So unfortunately, it's not as straightforward, as it might be.
And for also what it's worth, Church Meadows is supposed to have either a CR or an APR on it, and it doesn't yet. It just hasn't happened yet.
We're working on it.
So, yeah, so if you're working on it, and this does go, it needs to be written into it, if that's,
I mean, I'm very interested in having, I like a paved path there for accessibility reasons. I understand it's got, I understand it's gonna be harder to do.
I think it would be good
but-
to put that on the overlay of the larger plan, because then you can
Mhm.
see where your resource areas are, because we have all the wetland flags, everything's on the large plan. So if you wanted to come in, maybe Amy could show you the copy of that, and then try and maybe sketch in, and that way you'd be able to look at topography and what's wet as well.
Good.
And that's on file here.
Okay, well, I just wanted to start the process. I'm not hearing a lot of prohibition from you folks, so you're willing to work and we can get with Amy and,
But that is
Go over it.
significantly broad meadow wet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a brook, it spreads out considerably.
I think it's a
Yeah.
great idea for you to go and walk this weekend.
Right, in a lot of ways, it would be a lot easier
Make
if it
sure
was
you
just a
have boots on.
channelized stream, right? Then you
Yeah.
just go up and over and,
We've all walked the land a lot of times, and it is wet, so I think that might really help quite a bit. So, but we're happy to carry on the discussion.
okay, thank you.
is there a time that you'd like to walk it this weekend? I mean, I would be interested in walking it with someone who has an idea of
You'd have
what
to
you're
have
trying to
permission from the
accomplish.
owner.
I would
as
love to
well.
walk it too, cause I'm actually in the Long Lake area, and I would, love to have
Well, we
that
could
access.
walk the Church Meadows side, right, without, and I could try to get the field's permission to do it. But even if we didn't, if we set up a time to
Mhm.
do it, which,
Why don't you guys set up a tentative time now, and then see if you can get a broader access,
I probably have more
permission?
availability than you folks do, so name a time. I like early, but, But-
The weekend or during the week?
sorry, it'd have to be during the weekend.
During the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. I can only.
stop looking at me. And Matt Field's gonna be here in about an hour too, so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I would advocate for
We've got
punching
to
it out
move
at
al-
8
we've got
o'clock.
to move along.
8 o'clock
Saturday morning.
Saturday?
That's what I want.
Okay,
That would
Any
work.
objections?
work. I
okay.
can't.
8 o'clock Saturday, I'll be there by the
I
rock
could do
wall
like
where
4
it's
o'clock in
Church
the
Meadows.
afternoon, but.
Work with me.
And Jerry, do you wanna send me your email
Yes.
address, and then I can connect you guys all? Or actually, if you can just sign in, you can just leave it there.
Lake and pond vegetation management extensions?
Do you wanna go through this stuff, or put all this to the end? I'm more than happy to.
Let's try and get one or two.
This was basically, Solitude Lake Management, asked again about what they thought was expiring, and it's not expiring. But I thought I'd recalled that you guys had the discussion with the next time they come in to ask for an actual extension, they just need to file a new notice of intent, because it's a whole new process now. And I don't know if that was the case or not. Cobb was filed in 1992. Long Lake is from 2001. Spec Pond is from 2003. Doleful's from 2005. They're pretty old, so you can keep doing extensions, but they start expiring next year in 2018. So if you do want real new filings, I just want to give them a heads
How
up.
many of them are gonna be town-oriented?
Those are all town-oriented. And then there's Fort Pond, which was just filed.
Who, and who's gonna be filing?
Corey,
Us?
Clean
Corey.
Lakes,
Corey,
Corey does it. Corey Godfrey, the Water Department.
I think you can hold off till next year, and then we can start to put them all through, if they're coming up in 18,
So tell them that they should plan that into their, yeah.
or 18.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's go over this one.
okay, 7:35 PM, public hearing, notice of intent, 205-8XX 227 Newtown Road, Acton. Littleton map, U-27 parcel 12 and 13 for a new seasonal dock installation. Who's gonna speak to that?
That'd be me. My name's John Bergeron, from 227 Newtown. I don't know the protocol. Should I have a seat up here?
Sit down.
Great. So I put together a small presentation to just go over the specifics that are in the application. So in any event, I'm here with my two daughters who were interested in seeing the process, Faith and Ella. But I'm just purchased land at 227 Newtown, and was interested in putting a dock because it immediately has frontage on Fort Pond. So just kind of in summary, the dock will be temporary. My intent is to put it in the spring and then take it out in the fall, and for both environmental reasons, but also to prevent any kind of damage from the dock as well and having to replace it. So it's going to extend approximately 32 feet from the water bank out into the pond. I have contacted all the immediate abutters. I was able to get that list from the assessor's office. Today's meeting was advertised in the Lowell Sun on the 27th, and I submitted my application on the 16th. So what I'm planning to do, if this should be approved, I was going to use a commercial system by Hewitt. It's very popular. It's convenient. It's aluminum, so therefore it won't rust, and I won't have those issues. It's also light, so for me to take it out in and out. It's modular in design. There are 4x8 sections that you kind of build together for like Legos, for lack of a better term. And each of the individual Lego sections breaks apart into two pieces. So, nothing's more than 50 pounds, so it should be easy enough to move. Our plan would certainly be to use it for, I'm a kayak fisherman, swimming, boating, access, that kind of a thing, for immediate pond access. So they would only be for foot traffic. Certainly it's going to be just for our family. I know that there's the 100-foot buffer. We've been able to identify an area where it looks like it's a fairly straight shot, so you don't have to worry about walking and trampling on the existing vegetation. There's no intent to modify the shoreline or anything like that, do any kind of vegetative alterations, and certainly with this kind of system, because of the footings, there's no requirement to do any kind of fill or anything like that. So kind of what you see is what you get. That picture in the bottom right, let's see if I can get my, oops, is largely pretty representative of what I'm looking to do. So the specifics, this is kind of a profile picture. So you can see the ramp in the upper right-hand corner. It's a 5-foot ramp that would go from the ground, because there is about a 3-foot step from the water's edge to the ground, and then you can see the 32-foot extension. And the top view there just kind of gives you an idea of kind of what it looks like. Any comments or questions so far? Okay. So this is the surveyor's plot. So what you see, and if it's all right, I'll walk up to the screen to kind of point to things. What you have here is, here's the foundation of the house. This is the existing tree line, and then this is the measurement of the actual, that represents the dock itself, and this represents the actual water frontage. So currently it's a little over 105 feet. So this is the town line of Littleton, and for reference, kind of Newtown is kind of down here.
So were you in Acton or Littleton?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm in Littleton. The house
The house is in Acton.
is in Littleton.
I thought the house was in Acton.
None of the houses.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at a different one.
So this is the house, this is the town line, this is obviously the Littleton sign, and then this is the Acton. So the physical, the access to the driveway is actually, I think, in Acton, but the physical residence in its entirety is in Littleton.
So how is the ramp going to be stabilized so it won't slide down? Is it attached to the,
Yeah, it attaches, it's a great question, because I was worried that, people walking down, there's an attachment point, you just buy a fitting.
It's a locking mechanism, so it's very.
So
to the ground though?
No,
Oh,
to the
to
ramp,
the
to the
top.
ramp itself, and then each one of this is like it's a 8-foot, it's a foot, and then on the bottom, there's just literally about the size of my hand, there's just a flat part, so that the whole thing is freestanding, and the only contact with the ground is there, and it just literally rests on top. It rests on top of the ground. And then in order to get the angle right, all you do is you either, slide the ramp this way if you've got, too much or too little of an angle. The other thing that's really nice is that these posts aren't fixed, so that if I did decide I wanted to adjust the whole thing, I could adjust the angle, and I've decided to just get somebody smarter than me to install it. The first time, I'll learn how to do it, and then I'll, so that I can get the angles right, so I don't have to worry about creating any kind of tripping hazards or what have you.
so the height of the, each rod or railing is adjustable so that if the depth of the water
Right, so-
changes, you can adjust
So imagine
the
you got
feet?
like a broom handle, but it's actually 8 feet tall. And then what you do is you can, where it attaches to the dock itself, that's totally adjustable. What's nice, not that I'm giving an advertisement, is it's all done by hand. So from a design perspective, you don't even need any tools to be able to go do it. So while you're standing out in the water every year trying to put this thing back together, it's kind of convenient, so you don't have to worry about, dropping your tools, as I'm capable of doing in the water and never seeing them again.
Just a second. Yep, it's a nice docking system, I'm familiar with it. I don't have any problems with it,
I brought the book if you're interested.
familiar with it, so.
But I think that's it. I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions. I did have a couple of questions myself, just kind of about, maintenance and that kind of stuff. What am I allowed to do, and like the annual renewal process and that kind of a thing. But with that, I'll happy to
You won't
answer any
have
questions.
Annual renewal,
Oh, there isn't an annual renewal. Okay.
no, it's-
The only question I have is there currently a path down there to the dock?
There's
Or
not,
to where the dock will be located?
there's not currently a path, but there's a couple of areas, and I put together a couple of backup slides, just anticipating some questions. So, this is actually a picture I took this weekend. And, so just to frame a reference, I'm on the second floor, that's my wife with my dog. And, so you can see, like, the plan was to kind of target this area because there's a path where there's not like immediately a set of trees. And so it's only gonna be, a footpath. I don't own a motorboat or anything like that, so as long as I can get my kayak through with my son, we'll be fine.
You guys don't kayak?
Oh. I make him carry it though.
Yeah.
And so you're not proposing cutting any trees to
No.
open up the path? Okay.
And you had some questions on invasive species?
Oh, so I just didn't know, so we've got allergies to things like poison ivy and that kind of stuff, and so I just didn't know in the vegetative area, am I allowed to trim and, there's a term for it, it starts with a V, I can't remember what it is.
Vista pruning,
Is that what it is, or meaning,
Not when it's invasive.
yeah.
No.
That's what
You're not
trees-
doing vista pruning, you're taking out invasives.
okay, so that's fine, so that's allowable, and then the only other question I had was,
You wanna identify what you're taking out, but you also wanna identify the proper means to taking them out. Cause some are taken out differently, whether it's pulled from the roots or cut off.
Well, those are water, are you talking about aquatic plants, or are you talking about on the path?
No,
way
on the
you-
path.
Referencing
On the
like
path.
Well, if it's
arsenic,
just-
poison ivy.
Yeah,
So
poison
that's
ivy's
not
not
aquatic.
invasive, so it doesn't.
It's not
Yeah.
invasive, right?
and then
Well,
if
it's invasive, but
if
it's
the
native.
trees fall and that kind of stuff, am I allowed to move them? Or if there's a dead tree, that kind of a thing, I'm assuming just for safety purposes, you don't want somebody walking by and having a hit on.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it.
So a couple things, DEP, of course, has not gotten a file number for this, so you can't close. This was, I believe, the property where Steve Marsh had taken down, or a tree had fallen or was rotten, so he had taken it down on the lake side of the erosion controls. The erosion controls are all, everything else is 100 feet
Is the
away.
tree already out that was taken down? Or is it, like, did it fall down, taken down?
I'm getting a slightly different story every time. So,
So is there a tree that needs to be removed that was?
the tree is already gone.
Okay.
No, when
It's
I
been cut.
bought the lot
Yeah, it
was
was,
cleared.
it was before.
So I
That
didn't-
doesn't
didn't-
follow the landowner, though. So he already owns it.
Right.
Yes. Can you say your
Yeah,
name,
you got some
please?
abutters here, I think.
Yeah, could I ask, how wide is your access that goes from your house lot to the pond?
Sorry, could you say your name, please?
Verospor, and that's on the pond. I know that that area was hopefully going to be left open for.
So I think she's asking, do you own that frontage that you referred to?
Yes, I do.
And how wide is it?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but I own 300 feet of frontage space
On the water or?
on the water.
Okay.
And that 300 feet goes back to your lot.
Correct. It's all inclusive.
Thank you.
The reason I'm asking that is because there probably will be 5 or 6 or 7 other lots that will have that kind of 300 feet frontage on the pond. And I would be concerned if all of them had seasonal docks.
Linear feet?
I can't comment on, I don't know anything of the other lots,
Yeah.
so I can't.
Steve did say there'd probably be at least one more coming in.
300 feet would meet any requirements for a dock on any of the lakes.
Is this Steve Marsh?
No, this is a owner.
John Bergeron, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah,
Carl?
so he's here with his daughters putting in
And I don't think I
a
mentioned.
dock of a house that was built. 300 feet
Basically,
on.
we have to continue. this
Seasonal,
until we
permanent?
get a, file
Permanent?
number
Just a
from,
seasonal dock.
DEP.
Seasonal?
How long, just out of curiosity, how long does that typically take? Because they cashed the check 2 weeks ago, I was just curious.
Couple weeks usually. So,
Yeah, you're on the list, but they haven't given you a file number, and we have to wait and see if they have any comments
Okay.
too, so.
So I guess if you're interested, you could be on the next meeting on the,
Could I request a conditional pass that assuming that everything comes back, that I travel quite a bit extensively,
We-
so,
I don't anticipate you having to come back, but we
Okay.
can't close it until the number has been issued.
okay,
So, but I don't anticipate any further discussion. You wouldn't
Okay.
have to come back, it would be,
DEP, if they.
right, once we have DEP, we would close it and Amy would issue it to you.
great. So Amy, the actual approval, I would hear through you? Because I.
When DEP issues their file number, they'll copy you as well as me, and we'll see right then and there if they have any comments.
Because I had followed up with a couple of individuals over there, and like, you kind of don't hear back
No,
particularly
that's
quickly.
standard. So, but we meet again on
We're
the
just throwing it out
seventeenth.
to you in case there's
Yeah.
an issue. That's
Got
what
it.
we're trying
Yeah,
So
so
if there's
we
an
ju-
issue, I'll come back. If not, then I'll anticipate.
It just takes time, so we'll put you on for the 17th. If we still don't have the number, then we'll put you on for May 8th.
Got it.
But you continuously will stay on the agenda until it's done.
Okay.
Okay.
It would be a little surprising if we don't have the number.
It should be
2
in by the
weeks,
next
but-
meeting.
Okay, so
Probably get it tomorrow.
pardon my ignorance, is there an official vote, or do we just,
No, we keep it open.
you just keep it open?
And then there'll be a vote when it's
So there's a
closed.
vote at when the DEP file number comes in?
Correct.
Yes.
And we're meeting, yep.
Got
But
it.
it's good for you to keep following up, because you might get it before Amy. And you
Okay.
can give her the number.
All right, we gotta
Okay.
move along.
Great,
Great.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for coming in, girls.
Continue public hearing notice of intent, 4-836, 417 King Street, map U-101, parcel 113, for construction of a single-family home.
Welcome back.
Good evening.
So I think the last meeting, we had good discussion, and we
Yeah,
thought
we-
you guys could get together and collaborate.
Yeah, we did last week.
And we're here to go forward with that.
Again, Steve Sears from David Ross Associates, here on behalf of Ms. Gianetta, 417 King Street. And at the last meeting, we talked about 3 things that we wanted added to the plan. We had to locate the dry well on the abutters property, and then show the riprap continuously all the way from our small pipe here down to the dry well with a berm, and then change the pipe size up here to match the pipe size that cuts across Mr. Stanford's property. And I met with Ralph last week, and we actually had our drain just about in the same location, so I think our previous location was pretty accurate. So we confirmed that with the transit, and then we put the dry well on here. I actually measured this pipe. It's an 18-inch corrugated metal pipe that dumps out on the other side of his garage or barn, whatever that is, onto the next abutters. So we changed our pipe to meet that size, 18-inch up here. So there's plenty of capacity. It's not going from a small pipe, small pipe to a larger pipe. And then we showed the complete area being riprap with a small berm here. Build a berm to direct any runoff to the existing dry well. So that'll be right.
And so now it's essentially now a bit of
Yep.
a swale.
Okay. It's gonna, any water that gets in here, it's not gonna flow
We're not
across
gonna
the
shoot off
property.
that
It's gonna
other
just
side.
stay right in the riprap and then get right to the dry well and then to this pipe that comes out over here.
Is it sloping or is it level from?
It's
from
sloping.
where- From the left to the right?
It's sloping. This is 101.5 here. This is a 99 contour here. And existing dry well, I shot the elevation on that. He didn't put it on there. But yeah, it's a continuous slope down right to the dry well. And then it drops a couple feet from here to the outlet over here. So the whole thing continues to slope and drain right around the
So let's
field area.
follow up with the discussion and thoughts.
The pipe, you and I hadn't discussed the pipe, this pipe here that you're talking about, what?
Well, this pipe right here. There's just a small pipe right here. So if they have to get access back and forth, that's buried, so they can just cross right there.
Right, I think
That's a
been-
proposed
been-
pipe.
been
There's no
mentioned
pipe in
before.
here.
Yep.
There's no pipe anywhere here. The only pipe is.
There's no
starts-
pipe at the moment
Right.
through there, but you wanna lay a pipe in there.
They're gonna lay a pipe in here, rip-wrap it on this side and then rip-wrap it on that side, so, if they have to
Which has
go
been
back here
part
and
of
mow
the-
or something.
It's been part of the
Rip-wrapping
discussion.
around the pipe itself?
No, rip-wrap, like, it's like a little bed of stone,
And the
it'd be
pipe-
like crushed stone
The
that,
pipe is gonna be under that?
no, the pipe will be,
Covered with soil, right?
Yeah, the pipe will be covered with soil, so there'll be riprap coming into it, a bit of a swale, little depression, goes into the pipe, and the pipe is there so that they can access the backside of the property. They can drive over it without driving through the stone
Without
swale.
having to go
If
through.
that's the case, why can't you move the pipe closer this way?
we could put it any way you want.
No, but I mean, it's rather than going way uphill, why can't you?
Yeah, I think we are trying to slow it
Yeah,
down.
no, I think the location where it is fine, because we're actually trying to slow it down and.
This, if you can see, is a video. I'll have to show it a couple times.
Sure.
Let me start all over again.
Do you want to say for the commission what they're looking at as well?
This is from my property.
Where approximately are you standing when you
I'm
shoot that video?
standing, can I see this? I'm standing, where's my pipe?
This is your house, there's your
Okay.
dry well,
The
here's
pipe,
your
okay.
shed. Yep.
I'm standing right beside where, there's a shed here, and then there's a wood pile that sits on top of pallets, right over the top of where I have
Right, where the-
stones and all.
Yeah,
and
that's
where
where
the
some of the dry
drain,
well is,
where
yeah.
the drain goes down.
Right.
So I'm standing here, looking at the property this way. It used to be a barn, was sitting here, and the ground dropped right off behind the barn, and then there was a flat field going out.
Mhm.
So they had, beside their barn was a steep driveway that came down. So now.
You show them first, then you can show me, show us afterwards.
So there's a wood pile. That small storm that we just had flooded out my backyard from water coming around
Through that pipe, can I see
and
it?
not making it.
No, there's no pipe or anything there, it's not,
Oh, I just wanna see it.
they've been at a
Let's see where the water
standstill
is.
because they're having to redesign. So those conditions don't show ultimately what would be on the plan.
The end,
I
correct.
hear
For
the
sure.
water, but, oh, there it
It's
is.
just showing.
Wow, it's quite a bit of water.
Right.
I have a second video.
Wow.
Yeah, fortunately, that only
It's flowing
happens
pretty
when it
good.
rains, because the day I met
Mhm.
Ralph,
Right.
there was no flow.
There was
Right.
there was no water in my
So
backyard.
it rains
Oh.
and flows and then it stops, so that's
Which
okay.
I think it was the impetus for us to
But that's our
sort of drive
concern.
slowing it down a little
Right.
bit.
Right, that's why we wanted
We didn't
to
want to just
design
channelize
this.
the whole
We
thing.
wanna slow it down, but we also don't wanna starve any
This is
wetlands
showing
down
the
stream.
water is coming around the pile,
Yeah?
and as you can see, as you go through here, I'll point it out.
See why it's called an
It's the end of
intermittent
my
stream.
wood pile right
Gotcha.
here. So
So it's coming right down there, and then it goes under, then it
It
goes,
goes underneath the wood pile. right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
But it's actually coming out and going right across my yard at the point now, because it's not the normal.
Right.
Right.
At this point.
Because of that big pile of dirt that's sitting out there,
Wow.
it's
Right,
trying
and
to make it,
unfortunately, that's
probably
what's
wanna
make a
happening,
new
so,
way.
yeah.
It went under the
So-
pile of dirt before, probably originally it
It
went
came
under the
across,
pile
there
of
was no
dirt.
pile of dirt there, and it came straight across,
Right,
so
that was our
now it's
issue originally, is
traveling around.
it covered it.
So they wanna put a pipe in, and the pipe's gonna start here?
It's gonna start right here,
Okay.
and stop right here. But the swale is gonna continue, it's gonna run right along here, through the pipe, and right
That's,
back.
that's what caused the wet soil behind there, is this kind of water running. And we noticed there was modeling going on in the soils, and
This is my yard now.
oh, yeah, you can see it's gone up an inch, it was an inch, 2 inches higher. A lot of water. How often does that happen?
It doesn't happen, but because of
How often does that?
construction now, it's flooding out my yard all the way over.
Oh, this is
my-
this is
All
all the way over
different.
to my garage.
This is different.
Lines, you can hold it to an
This
occupancy.
situation is different than what you had originally.
Correct.
Well, that's because this has been sitting here for
The
3
flow
months
is
while
already
we're
existing,
waiting
though.
for the commission to make a decision. Can I see it? I haven't seen it yet.
It was a pre-existing issue.
And they're not putting it back the same way it was.
So now it will come
They're
around.
just about doubling the length of the stream,
It's coming over.
allegedly. You know, assume it used to go straight, now it's going like this. I measured it, it's about a doubling of
Well, as
the,
soon as this gets
run.
constructed, it's gonna
Correct.
correct,
This should-
correct the
this should-
situation.
This should bring it right in and
As
through.
long as this sits like that, you're gonna have that problem.
So my only comment to this, because of this being here, is there a way to make it so that the water that's coming through here can go into a drain here? It's gonna be coming this way.
Yep.
Correct?
Any
And-
direction it comes, it's
but-
gonna hit the riprap and go right down in and follow this
There's gonna be
channel.
water coming down your whole
Just like it
property
did
this way,
before,
too.
before this was all done, it all came down to this swale and went the
And
same way.
went
Now
across.
it's gonna come down
Correct.
here and continue, so
Okay.
we're not changing anything, we're just changing the location. But whatever happened before, it's gonna happen again.
Okay. And I'll be all right with that.
the watershed's already pretty well paved. That's why I think it's kind of flashy
Right.
upstream of there.
Yeah, which is why I think, I can't remember whose idea it was, but to add that riprap, sort of connecting the outlet of the pipe to
Right, which
the.
will capture more.
All right, so I'd like to make sure, we need to put something in our
Well, they-
conditions that if this situation does not work and the neighbor is still getting water after this is
Well,
completed, then there's an issue.
wait, he's gonna get the same amount of water he always did.
Right, he's still
We're not
he's
changing
still
the
getting
water.
water, it's just that he's.
I
not
understand, but
getting more.
is he getting, but he's not getting as long as he's not getting the kind of water he's getting now. Because he told me this was a different
We're not
situation.
creating more water because we're doing this.
Right.
But you
How
are,
could we possibly create more
Well,
water?
You're
But-
moving the
but-
water, you're moving the
you
water.
are a little bit, because that water came in, and I think we have a difference of opinion on how much of that is wetland, but ultimately we couldn't inspect that. But that wetland body at the outlet of that pipe was ultimately slowing the water down to some extent before it discharged into the drain on the other side of the property. And so we are changing the hydrology in a not huge way, and I think this design has a pretty solid chance of replicating that. But it is a substantial change in the hydrology from what it was before, because there was a wetland structure there to slow that water down.
But you actually told me that this always gets wet when we have a rain event.
If there's a hurricane,
Right, okay.
and
We're
everything
still gonna
gets
have
wet.
hurricanes, and it's
Right.
still gonna get wet.
Everything
Right.
gets wet.
Okay.
But what
As long
I agree with the board is that if,
Yeah, we have to have something in there, because it's, we obviously have a neighbor who's noticed some changes and is concerned, and I think we need to take his concerns and, make sure it
I
doesn't
think until
impact
it's
him.
Make sure the
installed.
thing works, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
If it doesn't work, we
So, but the
doesn't work, we
sooner
dig
get
it back
going
out
on it,
again
the
and
better it's gonna be for him.
send it the other way to the other neighbor.
How are you gonna define showing that it works?
Yeah.
Because his backyard's still gonna get flooded.
And like it
So-
always did.
Yeah, so how are you gonna
He's
define?
claiming that, he said that this particular
Well, the way it
spring
is-
melt that's going on right now is more water. He's seeing more water in his yard than he has on a normal spring melt.
So,
Absolutely,
You're
because
gonna
it's in
take
an
his
altered
word?
state right now.
Okay, so this is what I'm saying. If
Yeah.
he's keeps continuing to notice something similar to that, that's different than what he's noticed over his years of living here,
But it should be worse right now based on the situation of,
the
of,
dirt pile.
of the site. So one would hope that once this is built out, pipe is put in, proper drainage is put
Yeah.
in, that it would work. But
That's
we won't
just-
know that
right.
until
After
we
the
get
fact.
going.
so
Well, Carl's saying to put it into the conditions.
we need a report back that there's something, that this is working. We need to have some kind of fallback.
But it's hard to know how
Right.
much was there
right,
pre and post,
exactly, that's my,
because it is altered.
Only thing I can make my
That's the
judgment is what the
problem.
neighbor's telling me, and
Right.
that's the only thing I have to go with. I don't live there.
Right.
I don't think that's all we have to go with. I mean, what we do see out there is that there is not evidence of substantial erosion down gradient of that infiltration area. Right, there wasn't any rilling or anything like that in his yard, right?
the only way to do what you're saying is to remove all this dirt, put the swale back here, and just deny the whole project, and then whatever happens to you, that's the way it was, so that's the only way to do it. If you wanna deny it and
I have a
remove all this
suggestion.
and just put that back in, then they're done. I don't know what the builder's gonna have to, the builders have to stop and the house will sit like it is. It's up to you folks. Because I can't, I can stand here right now and tell you, yeah, he's gonna get water on his lawn, he's gonna get water back here. And if he comes here every time we have a rain event and says, I'm getting water flooded here, well, how come you never got water for the last 40 years? We didn't create all this water here.
Right.
So anyhow, whatever.
Yep.
My suggestion is that when you put the pipe in through here, that it is not just connected to my pipe, is that it is left back and/or the pipe is cut away at a bit and then stone is put around it so that any surface water that is coming down and trying to go through the riprap, that it has a way to go and it can still go into the, say, dry well
And I
effect.
think they're
That's-
gonna
that's
be
what-
cautious of that, cause they wanna make sure on the other end, we're not undermining it as
Basically,
well, but that, we
Right.
will allow him to make field changes.
that's
when
what
it
this
comes
whole
to that.
Because right here, the pipe is coming along and it goes into a huge, if you will, like from here.
Like a
all
dry
the way
well.
to where you are, I put stone all through,
Basin?
big stone and then went to smaller stone. and that's
Well,
all,
it's not drywall because it has a pipe.
it's all, straining to keep debris and everything out of it. So I would like to have his pipe brought up to my pipe, but
Well,
not connected.
doesn't-
I think there might be a
Pipe.
misunderstanding here.
It's riprap that's
Trying
gonna
to
come
explain
up
this.
to your basin, not
It's all gonna be
piping.
riprap here, so this will catch any water that's coming
What were you talking about, a
Stone.
pipe?
right here.
Only a
It's a
small,
short-
only a
It only
short
goes
pipe,
across the top end.
so that they can cross over.
In the middle of their
This is all
property.
gonna be open stone riprap to catch any runoff.
Color what's actually the pipe.
Here's the pipe.
The rest is all open.
This is all gonna be riprap stone, and it's gonna be stone right to your drywall, so it's all gonna run through the stone and then right down.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's like a ditch.
Believe me, that's gonna work good.
So you're gonna have a stone affair here?
Yep.
Water goes into the pipe,
Pipe.
comes
and it
out
comes
through the
back out,
stone,
and
and
all be
then
stone to your
to my stone,
drywall.
to my pipe.
With a little berm on there to keep
Yes,
it in a
yes.
swale, right?
Yeah, we show a little berm on here,
So
so
it's not
it
gonna
doesn't go
fall
like
out.
that.
Okay.
We didn't want that,
My concern was that before the water would come across here, and if anything, if it took extra water and it would puddle right here,
Right.
trying to go back down through here,
exactly.
I just don't want this to come out and start washing out,
Correct,
which it's doing right now.
right.
It's washing out higher on the property, you know, I've got bushes and stuff here, but I don't want that garden to be washed away into my yard.
Right.
So,
Well, that's why we tried to do it this way, so.
Yeah, especially if
Because this is pretty flat in here, and when it does puddle in there, it'd probably take a day or two, and then.
What?
once it's-
there's
and then-
quite a bit of big stone up in this pile too that could be used
if they wanna use
to
it.
defer the
Yeah.
water, to defer the water around the angles.
yeah, right, it needs to
Right.
be done.
So my question is, so I think we're all in agreement of the way it's hopefully designed, but we need to have some type of call to action that they need to actually do it now. If not, it needs to be removed, so that we're not impeding on the neighbor. What is your-
Especially
what is-
before we
what is
go
your-
into a wet spring.
Right,
you
is
know.
your client ready to progress with this?
Yes, he's been ready, yeah. I don't know if he's here, anything?
But we've gotta lift the enforcement order somewhere along the line here. Cause we allowed them to build the house, but
Right.
we told them not to touch the rest of it.
Right, that's why this is still sitting here, because
Right.
he was told not to do anything till we got the,
Mhm.
now it's, let's go ahead and get it cleaned up.
So I think everybody in agreement?
Yep.
So we can lift the enforcement order. Somebody wanna make a motion to do that?
How deep is this stone gonna go?
I will make a motion to lift the enforcement order on 417 King Street, DEP file number 204-836.
Do I
I'll
hear a
second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, guess we need a motion to get some order of conditions for this. Somebody wanna make a motion?
So is there,
Call it 1 foot deep of stone.
there's no further development? Nothing else is gonna be built behind the house on the rest of the land?
No. Not to my knowledge, I mean, no, we haven't designed anything back there, I mean,
And
Is there enough coverage over the pipe so if somebody drove a tractor over it or what
Yes.
have you?
Yep.
So the pipe is gonna be 18 inches
Yep.
in diameter, and
Yep.
it's gonna be underground by how much soil?
yeah, let's see. We have a 102, the invert is at 98, 9, and 99. So about a foot and a half probably. It's only, we're talking lawnmower and stuff, we're not talking
Right, right.
dump
Auto-
trucks, and no,
automobiles,
we're not
yeah.
talking.
But even then, a foot of cover is usually typically
So I
sufficient
guess
for a
what I'm saying
resident.
is if it's a foot of soil on top of an 18-inch pipe, and then you're only going 1 foot of stone,
Well,
So riprap-
they'll probably put more, they're gonna,
well, I don't wanna hear probably, I wanna know that
Okay.
it's gonna be the same leveling.
Well, the grades are
Around
specified
my
there,
pipe.
it's, so what he's gonna do here is match the grades as they're drawn, right? So he's giving you depths roughly.
that foot of stone will be from the bottom of the pipe. Here's your 18-inch pipe. You're gonna have a foot of stone below that.
You also might wanna see if you wanna require an engineer to be on site when they do the final grades.
Well, you have to make sure that the grades, you have to do you
An
can tie the as-built to occupancy.
Yep.
So
Oh, well,
You asked for that anyways, don't you?
Yeah, we would,
for certificate of compliance, but,
As-built Plan and,
Yeah.
certificate.
but you might want it earlier before you get your occupancy, or when you get the occupancy.
Right.
Because your certificate of compliance could take 2 years to get, well, it could take, 10 years to get, but.
It's true.
How do you-
but here's my concern though, that this drainage needs to be done immediately.
Exactly.
That's why she's tying it to occupancy, not to.
Right, so there's
certificate of
incentive,
compliance.
so they need to go ahead and get it done, because they can't occupy the house until the
Yep.
drainage is done.
So an as-built for this piece of it.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
So
okay.
the rear part of the property. So that way they can't move into the house until the drainage is done.
And working.
But I just, if, as my point I'm trying to make is, if the pipe is 18 inches deep and it's a foot yet underground already, and then you're gonna go only 12 inches of stone, and the pipe is down here, and that water's trying to come flowing around, it's just gonna come up out of the ground, it's just gonna come straight up. It's
You're gonna
just
have a
not-
s-
It's not
they're
going
gonna
to
create a s-
flow into my
A
pipe.
swale here. And then when the swale hits the riprap, it'll go through the pipe and then out the other. And this is all gonna be, missing what you're saying, I guess.
The pipe is gonna be 18 inches round, and it's
Yep.
going to be 1 foot under the ground.
Yep.
So that's,
No, they're gonna have a foot of cover over.
It's on top of
Pipe's
the
gonna
pipe.
be right on the, probably the ground level.
You're thinking the pipe's gonna be down in the ground, it's gonna be more
It's gonna
at
be
the
up.
lawn level, and so then it's gonna be cover on top of the pipe.
This is fill and grading coming over the pipe.
So it's gonna be raised.
I think I would rather see it lower, that the stone would be lower to be able to carry the water through to my pipe.
You said it's continually sloped to your pipe.
The stone will match the
My-
bottom of the culvert.
My pipe is down on the ground, and there's a big bed of stone that all the water goes down into, and then there's the pipe.
3D image.
I feel comfortable the way that it's designed, I think so. But if it's not working, then they will have to pull it out and start again in order to get occupancy. So that's why we're tying it.
We'll have a chance to see if it works in the spring.
Well, this spring is, you're not gonna see a whole lot happening, because you haven't got a whole lot of winter happening.
We've got a lot of water.
We haven't got a lot of
coming in.
snow.
A lot of water, a lot of water
We've got
coming.
A lot of water in
Well,
the
we,
next month.
that's why we really need to get this particular property going and get it stable. Because the way it is now is not working. What do you guys wanna do?
Tied to occupancy,
Yeah.
see how it works.
So is
I
that the
feel
only,
like
that's the
tying
only
it to
condition I've
occupancy
heard so
still
far?
puts it too far.
I don't know what, I don't know what you.
I don't know, I'm not necessarily proposing a solution, I'm just poking holes.
Well, it's something. We
Because
gotta
that's
move
easier.
on.
Right, that's much
The party of no.
So even though it is gonna be tied to occupancy, I think you understand that the commission
But if
is
it's not
looking for
working,
this
but
to
if
be
it's
done.
not
I
working,
just
you can
can't
go back
answer
to
for
a cease and
immediately.
desist.
I can't answer for the construction people, I don't.
No, I understand that. And I don't think we can tie it to anything but occupancy, but
Because it's gonna be hard to build this if there's a foot of water out there.
it's gotta be done.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's gonna walk out there and say, oh, it's underwater, I can't do anything with it, I don't know.
So do you want to set a date when it has to be done by?
I can.
No, I think we
can't
beat
get
this
its
horse.
occupancy permit.
Yeah. So there, I think there's incentive for the builder.
And then when it,
They can't move in.
obviously, it's gonna rain off and on, I mean, lately it's been raining every week, so once he puts it in, we can wait for a rain, make him wait for a rain event before we sign it off, make sure it's working. Go out there and watch it, take pictures,
That's what I'd like to see.
yeah.
You can do that.
I would too, because if it's not gonna work, we're not gonna sign it off.
Right.
Right, so are we comfortable closing?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and close, 204-836-417 King Street, issue order of conditions with said comments.
Can I have a second?
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Building to get going. Okay, thank you.
Do you have,
Thank you.
So while we're doing paperwork, if you
And can I
want-
also, I'm sorry, Lisa?
Yes.
I just want to let Lisa introduce yourself just real quickly, not on the dog leash, because you might be interested in the opening on the commission? Maybe, it's okay, so you can stop right there.
Okay, so while we're waiting for paperwork, if 501 Great Road wants to come up, there's no DEP notice as of yet, number for construction of Town Fair Tire. Come on up. The lingo.
Boy, oh boy.
Lisa, are you here only to speak to the citizens concern leash law?
I am not necessarily here to address the leash law.
Okay.
I'm really here to sit in for tonight.
Okay,
if
so
it
we'll-
gets me tonight, that's
Riveting.
fine.
I had mentioned to
No.
her that the leash law probably wouldn't be heard tonight, but since she's gonna come in anyway, I put it on just in
Okay.
case, so.
No, that's fine. I wanted to make sure she wasn't here for a single issue that
This
we.
isn't what you promised
pushed
me
to the
was gonna
back
be,
end.
we're gonna be happy with, was it?
No, that's the next step.
Oh. I was gonna say, wow, what kind of promise was that you made?
I try to make you good friends. I'm sorry.
Stepping up to the plate, did I see Sullivan Tire is down next to Kimball's now?
We're gonna become the tire capital
They
of
took over
Massachusetts.
somebody's business.
Take over the antique business.
Alrighty, here you go.
Tires, antiques, lawyers, and banks.
I know, I know. That's what-
Tires, antiques, lawyers, and banks, that's what we'll have in town.
Good.
We
Alright,
got
so
movie
while,
theater coming, we got all kinds of good stuff.
alright, let's,
All right,
we're
let's
behind, so
go.
let's go ahead.
Well, all right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, good evening. Bruce Ringwald, GPR. Also with me this evening is John Wipowski? Wipachowski, from Town Fair Tire. This is for 501 Great Road. We were here in 2011, 2012 for both 509 and 501 through 509. At that point in time, we were here with this particular plan.
Where is it?
No, this is the self-storage
Oh,
on
gotcha.
Great Road.
Yeah.
And this is the point over in here, the drive comes in, drive comes in over here. We had two proposed retail structures, a 3,500 and a 6,500, 10,000 square feet of retail proposed before. And a septic system that was for both, serving both sites. We only put in a portion of the septic system for this site at that point in time. We set up a conservation restriction and a conservation plan because the site is within habitat area. And now we're here because we're modifying 501.
More or less?
Less. So Town Fair Tire is gonna come in with less, this was 10,000 square feet of building and we had
Two separate buildings.
two
not
separate buildings.
separate.
And we had about 100 parking spaces.
Okay.
And now we're coming in,
This is where all the turtles were in the sand.
that's correct.
This is right next to Constitution,
Yes, we're on the
Constitution.
Right.
left.
adjacent to it,
Go in on the left, yeah, so,
Yeah, you
buildings
go
are
in-
where they sell the Christmas trees?
Yes.
correct.
And the picnic tables, those were right here.
But the,
Okay.
So, this is the last structure of the self-storage structure.
Mhm.
The driveway that comes in and goes to self-storage, it'll come in this way. There's also
Same drive.
the same drive. There's also a drive, there's a curb cut right here, right now, when they widened Great Road and took, taking of this portion. They gave a curb cut, which is granite curbs that come in right now, on this side, so they'll be able to come on in. There'll be one building. This is the edge of the 100-foot buffer. I'm gonna turn one more page because you'll be able to see more with the grading plan. So this is the edge of the 100-foot buffer.
Yep.
The drainage basin is in with a swale right now and a forebay for here and another forebay here. What we've done, or what we're proposing, is to take out the edge between the two forebays and make one larger forebay right in here. This is the grading edge of the septic system that's in the edge of the 100-foot buffer. That's coming out. Both the self-storage building and Town Fair Tire are gonna be connected by way of a force main to the treatment system at the point. So there's no septic on the site. There is septic right now.
There already is septic for,
For this, that's this mound right here. The bulk of
So
what we're
you're-
doing within the buffer zone is taking out the septic system.
okay,
That's really what we're here to talk about. all right? We're taking out the septic system. And then we're gonna just modify the grades between the two forebays to make it one big forebay here.
Where's the tie-in to the point
Tie-in
septic,
is
so
right
everything's
here.
in the road?
Let me come back one page.
You have to pump it up?
Yes, sir. So, this is the septic tank and the pump chamber at the, self-storage. This will be the septic tank with a pump or a pump chamber for, Town Fair Tire. Both of them will pump over and Y in and connect to the existing force main. The force main is laid down Constitution Ave and all the way to the property. This right here.
Was that done on purpose,
Yes.
knowing that this would may be done at some point?
Yeah,
When
and-
we had set up with them to tie these two sites in
Oh, gotcha.
to that property.
So it was
It
built,
was, it was, it
built
was
with it.
planned way back when.
Gotcha,
Their system wasn't online
Right,
when,
gotcha,
self-storage went in,
Okay.
so we put in a system for self-storage.
gotcha.
Okay? So, flipping back to the grading plan, cause it shows more of what's going on. In this plan here, I'm gonna flip back and forth,
yeah, no, that's
not to
fine.
confuse
That's fine,
you,
no,
No.
that's
but
fine.
just to kinda show you what's
You got
going
it.
on. In this plan, we were taking the front of the parking here, and it was going across into this four-bay system and all the way around, and before it discharges into the wetland. This portion over here was gonna come back across and tie in, at the time, we were looking to tie it into the point. But and then this whole, the buildings in this portion were coming into this forebay, which goes into a second forebay, which goes into the larger, wet water swale, and then it has a discharge that comes over and discharges off
And
into the
that one
wetlands.
is built.
All of that is built, sorry, I didn't mean to hide it from you. All of this is in the ground. It exists today. We've got a sign off on it, you
Right.
folks have witnessed it, signed off on it, everybody else has signed off on it. So, what we're doing now is we reduce that area in the front that's going over here, so it's less water going that way. The water, there's a high point, basically it runs right here, so the water from this parking lot and this portion of parking lot flow overland and go into this swale, and then into this forebay, so it all comes into this.
Is that
forebay.
high point
high
in the
point
same
is-
location or approximately the same
No,
location as
high-
the original plan?
It was here before.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're taking a larger area to push back to that system now that
No,
you've got,
We're taking a smaller area in every direction.
okay?
Because before, the buildings and the parking were all coming back into here.
Okay.
Now, the building, the full roof, comes into a Coltech system under the parking lot.
Okay.
Full recharge, we meet the 100-year storm there. We do
So
have
the
it.
Coltech is dealing with all of the runoff directly from the building?
All the runoff from the building. We
Okay.
do have an overflow, but we meet the 100-year storm within that. It's very good soils. It's nice sandy soils out here. It's very good soils. This parking lot and this front corner of the parking lot, right down to here, all come across and go into a forebay here and into a water quality swale and then discharge overland.
Which
outside
is
the
not
buffer.
built.
This is not built.
So those two, are they connected?
Yes, flows from here and then from here into here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then an outlet over here. This will have infiltration that will allow to happen through here because it's really good soil. So there'd be less coming out here than we planned, but we designed for it. The wetlands back here is the analysis point, and we are at a lesser flow from what we were permitted for, and a lesser rate of flow and a lesser volume in each of the storms. And that's
What year, Bruce, bring us back just a step, what year was that signed off in terms of the storage?
2012 was, 11 was the initial permit. We came in 12 and modified it when the state took the road away. And it was built in 12 and signed off in 13. And here's all
The
of,
reductions?
here's all the reductions for the various different storms.
Can you point out your design plan for me?
Certainly, the design point is back here, so let's go back to here, so you can see the whole thing. Here's the front, this is the back. This is the wetland that hooks around the back of the building. So this water that goes to the front flows around here into here, and this water comes either this way or this way into here.
Is the reduction in total flow largely a function of the Caltech and stripping out the runoff from the building? Or is it just a function of reducing the total impervious area? So
Combination of all three.
Okay.
We've reduced the impervious pavement, we've reduced the size of the building, and we didn't recharge all the building before, and now we are recharging the full building.
Can you tell me how this compares to the pre-construction number? Because here you've got the permitted and the development. I assume the
Yeah.
development meaning.
We
the
were,
application.
we think we were just under on the pre-development. If you go back to that, and I didn't
When-
bring those calculations with me, but if you go back to the original one, we were like pretty close. Some storms were just a tad over, and some were just a tad
So
under.
if I take this permitted to be approximately the pre-construction number.
Correct.
We're in the same ballpark.
That's correct.
So
Um,
what I see here, I'm always wary of starving wetlands too, right?
Yep.
We want to keep these things balanced.
Well, the thing to keep in mind here is that we are a very sandy site
Mhm.
with a relatively high groundwater. I think it's like 36 to 42 inches, depending upon where you are in the site. So our grade comes down. So what goes into the ground here is hitting the groundwater that's 4 feet lower back here. So it's right there. Because if you remember, and I'm gonna roll back to the cover page here. We're here, and that is well number 2,
Mhm.
which is a gravel pack well and not a bedrock well.
You're taking the word. I was actually about to say, I don't find the reduction in volume to be too problematic. It's
Not at all.
on higher events, you're around 10% reduction in volume. Less frequent events, you have a greater reduction in volume, but given the soil, I'm okay with it.
The tan line here, starting from this point, is the erosion and sedimentation control, which is shown. And I did not put this plan in your package because I made reference to it, just because I didn't want to fill your files up. So the erosion and sedimentation control line is here, and then we'll put it across the front when actual construction starts, just to keep anything from going into the road, temporary stockpile area. Again, it comes right across the back of the septic system and around. It starts at this building, right at the building edge. This has been installed to here. I sent an email to you folks last week. We had this installed right away because of the endangered species issue. If you recall, when you go back to the initial letter, which I put in the order of conditions, and Christy and Eve sent a copy of that today, which I have copies here that I'll give you. The two major issues of species that we have are the bitter, American bitter, and Blanding's turtles. And the Blanding's turtles habitat starts fairly shortly for their migration, for digging around and finding places to bury eggs. So the goal is to have that up first and foremost. And immediately, as soon as the snow went out last week, we staked it and had the erosion control put in. We show on the plan straw wattle and silt fence. The installer, Danny Pickard, had a ton of straw bales that he wanted to use. So I said it was okay, and he put in the hay bales rather than the wattles. So we have hay bales and silt fence installed from this corner of the building all the way to here to create a barrier so that no turtle action could come in here. I had Brian Butler involved from Oxbow, and I sent the email to Amy and to Eve Schuler.
What did Brian say in his email?
Brian didn't say anything in his email. I stated in the email that I had talked with Brian.
And Brian was on site.
We coordinated that there was no turtle movement at this point in time, so that we were getting the thing in.
So is he on site? Was
He's
Brian
been on
Brian on site?
He's
What
been on site
what did he?
multiple
How did he?
times.
How did he
Since
feel?
He's been out walking around. I only have 4 of those.
How did he feel about the nesting area that it's gonna be left for the turtles.
Oh, he's fine with that. He's been on site for that before. And everybody is. We're moving stuff out of the buffer zone.
So you're up in you're in dry area farther.
Yeah, this whole thing is dry. There's 100 foot.
And it's sand, and it's
staying
sand.
the same way.
Sand.
It's meadow over sand, and there's one sand area that we created way back when. And this is the original.
Will there be how will you demarcate that when the building is constructed so that nothing goes beyond that? When they get in business and they're starting to throw the tires over there and.
Put the dumpster there.
I'm doing all these things to try and.
The dumpster. You know.
Okay, so here we have an area that's 40 by 16 in the back of the property.
Yeah.
And this is a caged area. This is a tire enclosure. So it actually has an awning roof over the top of it and a chain link fence with the webbing in it, so that you don't have the visual of anything in there. And this is where the tires go, except for the ones that we let roll down Great Road.
Every day they go in
I
there.
forget we're on TV now. I can't say this.
Yeah, I know. You gotta be careful. Every day they
You're
go
getting
in
me
there.
going. It's your fault. All right, so yeah, this goes in here until the tires get filled up enough, and then they have folks that come and take them away. The dumpster sits on this side within that, and then the tires are in the rest of it. So, you know, here's your edge of the pavement, and we're outside of it with the buffer zone. So the only thing really that we're doing in the buffer zone is removing the septic system and elongating the two existing 4 bays into one 4 bay.
Now, the previous version had the discharge from that 4-bay in toward the wetlands.
This discharges to this 4 bay to this wet water swale, and then there's an outlet, this wet water swale, and then there's an outlet structure here.
Yeah, but
It goes into here, and then it goes overland flow parallel to the wetland line till it hooks over and comes in.
so is that gonna be modified then?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So
All
it's
that's
still
there.
gonna
It's all built.
Oh, okay.
It's not changing.
Oh, I didn't think, I thought you were not using that and
No,
instead
no, no,
using
no.
that.
No. The 4 bays are the first section where the water comes into and any sediment that's in the water settles out that hasn't been picked up beforehand.
And so that connects to the other parts of the system, how?
Comes over
Or does
everything.
it?
I'm sorry, I was trying to listen to them and listen to you at the same
Does
time.
that 4-bay connect with how does it connect with the rest of the system again?
These two 4 bays connect into this next settling area.
How? How does it,
By it overtops this rock.
it just overtops?
Just
All right.
overtops the rock. And so before there was 2 areas for that. That area we're not gonna use, it's just coming over in one place.
Okay.
It comes over in one place, comes into this area. From here, it goes into the water quality, the wet water swale. From here, it has a discharge structure with a pipe that comes and discharges right here. And then this is, you'll see the grade is a 210, 211, 212. So there's this little depression that runs parallel to the wetland and then hooks into the wetland.
So that's all existing and we'll.
That is
it'll
all
stay the way it
existing and
is.
that all, here's the limit of work, and that's all on the other side of the limit of work.
Where's the edge of pavement?
Edge of pavement. Wanna hand me your red again, or I'll go get mine out of the back?
I have an orange one.
Yeah, that works too. Here's your edge of pavement right here.
Snow storage?
Snow storage would be plowed off along here, plowed off along the sides, and then you probably have a little bit to get plowed off over in here.
So tell me a little bit how the business operates. Are they gonna be garages like in the back of the building that they'll pull out?
These are all the garage doors right here.
They're in the back.
So you come on in, you pull up into the front,
Grease traps.
you come on in,
Yeah.
and you do your, pick out your tires.
Your tires,
or
right? Then you
Tires are in the trunk, and here
sit
you
in the
go.
waiting room.
They take the car around back, and they either park it on the side here, or there's a few parking places through here. And then they take the car in, change the tires. If you're getting alignment, it comes into the alignment bay, and then they come out and go. I overheard Sarah say something about
Grease traps.
grease trap. There is a line, each of these bays will have a drain that goes to a MDC holding tank right here on the property, outside the buffer zone, outside everything.
So do they do any other service other than alignments and change tires?
No. This is a place to buy tires and get your tires swapped off. I've been going to them for years. It just happens to be that they came to me now. So, no, if I got a flat tire, they
Yeah.
could take care of
Yeah,
fixing my flat.
but they're not changing fluids or?
No, they do zero fluids. Well, I should let him talk to that.
No, we don't do any fluid changes.
Yeah.
Just tires.
Just tires, alignments, tires and alignments,
And custom wheels.
gotcha.
But I mean, even with alignment, if like, correct me if I'm
Yeah, we
wrong.
don't even replace the part. You have to go to your garage to have
Right.
the part replaced.
So if, yeah, they'll loosen and adjust the pieces if they can, but if it's frozen, you're stuck.
And as you said, all the used tires will go into that storage area and be trucked off-site,
Correct.
not shredded anywhere.
Not here.
Not here, but they go off to another facility and they got a lot of uses
Sears.
for 'em.
Potentially a few fires.
Bruce, has the CR already been recorded?
The CR is
Yeah.
recorded, and I actually referenced the CR the booking pages in the narrative.
Okay, thanks.
Does a facility of this type require an SPCC plan?
I hope not, because I don't know what you said.
SPC, spill,
Pollution and countermeasure
Yeah.
controls,
spill pollution.
No. Well, there's no liquids.
spill prevention.
There's no,
Nothing to spill.
Nothing to spill, yeah, there's no lubricants
no
or anything
fuels.
here. I've already met with Littleton Light and Water, and we've gone over it, and everybody agrees that this is a tire sales and installation facility. It's not, you can't change your oil, you can't do any of that stuff here.
So you don't change tractor tires with fluid, right? No.
Now, this doesn't have a DEP number. Does it have a DEP number now?
I've got, like, we've been calling, as you all know, DEP is a little shorthanded on things, and it's been like pulling teeth to get DEP numbers for, straightforward stuff. Someone from my office called and talked to him last week, and again today. Was it Judy Schmidt? Is that the right name? Judy said she was gonna try to get it out to me today because quote unquote, the person in charge of issuing the number was not in today. And she was covering the phones and doing that, and I checked just as I came up the stairs on my phone, and I hadn't gotten that email yet. But you got copied with Christie's email, the Natural Heritage one that I just
Yes.
passed the letter out?
Yep.
So we got Natural Heritage here, but we didn't get the DEP number.
So that means we gotta postpone this until.
And I will request that if the commission is inclined to have the order of conditions ready to sign at the next meeting.
Everything's been installed.
Gladly walk with you anytime you want.
You say that when it's about to rain for the next 2 days.
Is that?
You say that when it's about to rain for the next 2 days.
Come on.
Perfect time.
We got umbrellas and raincoats. And waiters.
I'm just curious what the cycle is for the blandings, turtle for nesting. I'm not
The-
familiar with.
If
the
you
dates.
look at the second letter.
They've been excluded, so, by the erosion controls that have been put up.
Right. If you look at the September 11 letter,
Mhm.
I think on the backside, or wherever it talks about, because I keep
It's
handing
in the
mine along.
backside.
First,
It says something about March 15th, October 15th to March 15th is the time that they're certain that they're not moving anywhere.
okay.
What my discussion was with Brian was, hey, Brian, it's the end of March. Have you had any turtle movement that you've found anywhere? And he said, absolutely not.
He went out on site and said he hadn't
He's
seen
been
it.
on other sites, he had not been to this specific site.
Okay.
I can have him come through now that we've had everybody there, but
I would
Eve
feel,
was
I would
fine,
feel
'cause
more
I-
comfortable if he could just pop out in the coming days and just say they're not there.
certainly. I'll have that
You're gonna
done.
put a chain link fence up to get along 119 and go around the back and up the side to make sure they stay out of there once you take the hay bales out.
I'm sorry, say that one more time?
They put a chain link fence that's
Turtle.
along 119 on both sides of the road.
Oh, yeah. Up there, is that what they did there?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a turtle thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily blandings, but it was definitely a turtle death area, the whole death.
Right.
I was just
Highest
wondering if
depths
that was
is
something that's
state.
gonna get figured in just to.
No,
as
we
a-
weren't proposing doing that, no.
And natural heritage didn't require it.
They did not.
My only
That
question.
doesn't mean we can't.
Exactly.
Well,
I mean, we know it's a turtle area.
why do you want to prohibit them from this whole nesting area?
No, we
No,
would, no, we're
coming
thinking
up
on
to
the,
your building.
coming
No,
up to the
cut,
building. and
encroaching further.
The building.
You wanna try and keep
Parking
them.
lot.
Yeah.
It might be, if it's, be a saver.
I was actually thinking of maybe trying to even make that turtle nesting area a little bit better than it currently is. You can make them better, make them more easier for the turtles.
You mean when they remove the
What do
septic?
you wanna do?
No, but when they move the, take
Put it in
the
sand.
side bales out, then there's not gonna be any barrier.
No, but
No,
what Carl was
Carl's
saying,
talking about
he
making
wants
the
to
nesting
improve
area
it.
You can
better.
improve it.
Habitat improvement.
You can
there.
improve it.
Well, we did improve it when we were out there before. We made an area that's, a sandy area. It's got
Yeah.
grass and stuff growing.
Yeah, well, the more, right, the more vegetation, I mean, you try and get as little vegetation in there
I
as
think that
possible.
does go back to what Anna was saying, so when the septic system is removed, you have that area of opportunity, perhaps. So I think that's.
So how would you suggest improving it for them, or maybe we should
I would
ask-
suggest that they go to Brian Butler, who's the expert, and have him do it.
Yeah, well, what we did before, and if you go back to, I don't know if it shows on this plan or not, probably not, because this is the grading and drainage plan, it was on a different sheet, is we had an area and we seeded it with, I can't remember the grasses, but we had a series of, grasses that were put in there that didn't create a strong, root mat, but they kinda
That they were
created
able to
tufts,
move, yeah.
so that they had shelter and screening, but that they still had easy digging.
Do you have any
They dig up my
concern
neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
Not my neighbor, but a couple of fence overs there.
from a turtle habitat perspective, Carl? Do you have any concern about asking them to create a more favorable habitat where the septic system is being removed?
No, I
Is
think
that
that'd
too
be.
close to the development?
No,
or is that-
nothing's too close.
Okay.
As long as it's, as it's suitable, they'll nest there. The better you can make it, the better. You can almost direct them there.
I think you wanna consider a low chain link fence like it's out on 119. You're gonna have them in your parking lot.
So, I mean, a fence along here would be.
Yeah.
It's just
no
small,
problem.
it's a low profile, it's not high.
They don't
It's
jump
more
very
in
high.
the ground.
And jump very
and-
high.
And the second
What turtles do, they'll go over a 6-8 foot fence.
and the second
Wood
reason
turtles,
for
oh,
that,
yeah.
it would delineate,
Oh my God.
it would
They're
delineate
motivated.
where the back of the, basically where the,
That's fine.
right.
So he can just go ahead, cause we have to keep it open anyways, just to submit that. Brian can come out and maybe look to affirm that there's nothing
Yep.
nesting there, and to show your proposal for Brian of the soils, the cover, and, we know that the profile of the chain is already on their documentation.
Right.
Of what they require, or suggest, not require.
I'm sorry, say the last part.
The chain, the fencing,
Yeah.
you'll be able to see what their profile is, cause we used it right down, they used it right down the road.
The state put that in.
Right, I understand that, but we don't have to do the same thing that the state did. That looks like hell.
You don't have to do the same
No,
thing the state
make it
did,
nice.
no, just make it.
I mean, you just need to have a chain link fence that's buried 6 inches into the ground.
Right, and it
Yeah,
can be a
yes.
shorter profile, it doesn't have to be as high.
Okay.
Right, it doesn't have to
I
be- it
would
doesn't
check
have to
with
be
Brian
ugly.
on how high it needs to
Does
be.
not have to be
I'll-
ugly.
I'll-
They
well,
can,
Brian and I have talked about that on the height, and he said that, the hay bales, they're not going over, so.
Yeah.
So we'll discuss that, and
Like the
I'll
chain.
modify the plan. The only problem I'm looking at here is that I don't wanna put the chain link fence through the swale, cause it's gonna get organic debris right there and break that up, so there's gonna be
Right.
but it's gonna be a pretty minimal thing, the space, if we have it all the way across.
Yeah, I think it's the only
You okay
way
with
we
that?
can- Yeah, I
Yeah.
think.
You guys are all right with that? So if we start at this corner, or maybe a little bit beyond the
Yeah, wrap
corner
it
of the
up a little
parking, and we'll just come across.
We can just sweep through.
I'm gonna come off of the site a little bit so that we have the ability of pushing snow.
Not in the resource
Yeah,
area.
yeah, you don't want it in the buffer.
it's not in the resource area. The resource area is back here. They can push snow into this outer portion of the buffer zone.
I would keep,
If it's treated,
I would
you
keep
can't.
snow away from that area.
Yeah, especially that's where their habitat is.
This is, no, their habitat's back here.
That's where they nest though.
They nest in the summer. They come out
I don't
in
think we want a
the
lot
next
of,
couple
I don't think
months.
we want dirt and salt and everything else going back there from driveway.
What are you getting
sides.
along the sides of 119 right now,
Well, we
where
don't
you
have
put
any-
up the fence to control them at?
Well, we have an option here, so we're saying,
And I have to
figure out
have a
what-
place to push snow.
Well, you said to the side,
You said
that
to
way.
the
and you
side,
said-
then
Yeah,
in the
and right
back.
here, I've got a BMP over here.
can
I
you
have
push it
this whole
around the
section.
buil, can't you push it around the building? They can scoop it up and bring it around.
Go to the right.
They don't have to push it.
These are all the things you can look at, because we're continuing this.
Gonna have a little bit back in here, a little space.
Right, so we're gonna go ahead and continue this. We meet again on, with the applicant's desire to continue, because we do not have a DEP number, to April 17th.
Yeah,
Alrighty,
okay,
thank you.
all right, continued, public hearing notice of intent 404-8 at X2 Spectacle Pond Road, Stone Yard. Now, if you got the feet all warmed up.
I got it all warmed up, ready to go.
Alright, so.
Yeah, you certainly can.
Stone
If you wanna
Yard,
say
and the
more.
one after this is continued.
If you'd like to come up closer and see more what's going on, you're more than welcome to.
So the last time we were here, as referenced in the minutes, there was takeaway of just some things that needed to be addressed, so you're listening.
Okay, good evening. Last time I had David with me, this evening I have Jerry with me. You get to meet everybody,
Hi,
one point or another.
nice to meet you.
So, the first thing is that I have all kinds of different things to hand out to you, but let's see how they have, put them in line. There they are. They put them in each package. So I have a series of photographs that I don't know where they all disappeared to.
Would it be easiest if we just went through the checklist that we have in the minutes?
Well, there's a spreadsheet, sure, however you wanna deal with it.
Okay, well,
I
mean,
also put in a memo
Put
too.
it in a
Oh,
memo,
did you?
but I
Okay.
responded back to you guys with the copy of the menu with memo, with everything on there.
okay,
And I probably don't have the memo right on top of my file here, but, I got a pretty good memory on it. So the first thing we were dealing with is, the water treatment solutions. And
well, first, so the first order of business then is we're gonna talk about the steps that we need to go through for you guys to be allowed to use that drying area for the short term, right?
Nope.
No, okay. We're going through the NOI.
the water treatment system, you're gonna like me better. Chase, I'm
I
trying,
like-
I'm trying
I like-
to make it so you like me more and more every
I
time.
liked
come
you a
in
lot
here.
last time.
So that Amy knows what we're referencing. so
If anybody wants it, here's the memo and Bruce's response.
Okay.
No, it's just 2
Okay.
pages.
So
Alright,
this is
so
just my
the
copy.
water
I thought
treatment
he-
system, there was a request for a copy of the invoice and so that you knew that the system was coming.
Yep.
So this is a copy dated February 24th, 2017, and it is signed and endorsed by Jerry, I believe, right? Yep, Jerry signed it on February 25th, the very next day.
Yeah.
And in the next to the last page on here, or the next to last paragraph, it says, please provide for 8 weeks, delivery schedule, installation of the following immediately thereafter.
Okay.
So 8 weeks from February 24th puts us right at the end of April. which we said we'd be online the first part of May. We had told you in the past, you have copies of this, but there's another one. We told you in the past that we were gonna go and build a 12 by 30 shed-type building just outside where the current holding tanks are for the system. We're not doing that anymore. We've gone inside, Jerry and Jim have looked around and they've reshuffled things. We're gonna put everything inside the building.
Solve some of your heating problems too a little bit, right?
Solve a
Right.
little bit of the heating problems as
Definitely.
well.
Good.
Okay? So, that takes care of that part. The next part was, what are we gonna do, oh, they're all right here, okay. What are we gonna do with the cakes?
Mhm.
With the stone dust cakes? This structure right here is where they currently make the, pallets that they put the product in. It is located right next to the maintenance structure, right here. This
Okay.
is two different trailers, and this hoop tent sits over the top of it. That's this location right here. If we turn to page 2 of this plan, says right here, stone dust cake covered storage area, right here, all right? It's got a very high bay, so the front end loader can go in and scoop it out. It's on pavement, and it's covered. So we're gonna take the cakes from in here, they're gonna come over, and they're gonna be dumped right in here and stored until they have a dump truck load full and ready to go off-site.
Just to make sure water doesn't pitch into that, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
See the back of
What's
this
on the
thing?
back,
It's-
what's on the back?
That
So
is-
when they're
that's-
pushing on that, what's on the back?
That is waste block that builds up to the parking level.
And is that one tier high?
Sarah, when you and I and others have come in, we pulled in and parked right here.
Mm-hmm.
We're parking at the upper level of these things here. That wall, that waste block wall, builds a retaining wall that's right across the back here. So we're parked above it. So that wall goes right where you're drawing your orange line back.
Because when, in the photograph, you can only see the lower tier.
Look hard, you can
Here.
see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiers I see.
There's the
Right.
box right there.
Okay? So that's where that's gonna be.
Is that outside the buffer zone?
Totally outside
Yeah.
the buffer zone. I did modify this plan to put the buffer zone on it because it wasn't on here before, and I fixed the wetland line so that it's a little bit clearer. So, let's at this point in time talk about the drying area.
Okay.
We are not going to request to use the drying area.
You were making friends today, Bruce. I
If you
appreciate it.
flip this page over and look at the photo at the top and the back of the page, the drying area,
Yeah.
you'll notice, is no longer got sediment up against the block walls. It has been removed. Jim has gone in and he's taken it all out and he's put stone on top of the gravel in that area. The area, and I wanna point over here now, so that's this area that was right up against the block, where
Mhm.
it was built up with sediment against the wall, and then it kinda had like a big bathtub area there. This area here, he has not scraped down yet, it wasn't dry enough. He's gonna be scraping that down, back down to the gravel, and then restoning that area.
What's it gonna be used for?
At this point, nothing, other than potentially storage of, the pallets of material that's already been produced. We don't wanna put material down here that comes in dirty because it's too close to the wetlands. What we do wanna do, and it is a slight change from what we've talked about, and while you're looking at that picture of the stones, what I've said on here is remove the top 2 courses of block. We're gonna use those blocks to extend over here and to extend here, so that we fully ring this area away from the wetlands and away from the basin, and we're gonna continue the wattle with this crushed stone behind it, all the way around those areas, and we have no real plans for this area right now. Okay? It's agreed between Jerry and Jim and myself that we do not wanna put material in there that's got dirt in it and stuff that it comes
Mhm.
in. So we're talking about, processed material gets stored there, something. Well, right now, our goal is to clean the area up, and we're not asking to use it for drying between now and having the new process in place. He's gonna continue to use the barrels that he's been using to put them in and set it up in that. All right? The next thing is, you asked about sweeping. I sent to Amy 2 sets of March 10th and March 23rd of when they went out and
Jim's reports.
Jim's reports. On the 10th, they didn't do any sweeping because everything was too wet. But on the 26th, they did. 23rd, they did. Somewhere right around the 23rd, they bought a new sweeper. They had rented it in the past. It worked really well last summer, and it worked out so well that they bought it. And it's pictured on the bottom of there. They have their new sweeper. So
What are we doing with the fines that we sweep up?
the fines that they sweep up are gonna go into the same location.
The filter cake?
Yeah, right, thank you.
Good.
Same location as the dust cakes, stone
Okay.
cakes, okay?
Okay.
Moving right along. Area, I think this was area 2. Area 2, we modified the contours on here just a little bit so that everything definitely worked drainage-wise from what we talked about. We tucked this down in tight here. It was up a little bit higher, kind of following that edge, and I want the water coming as the directions of the arrows are, across over into here, so it's pinched tight here. Don't look at that yet. We already talked about this. What I did do on here is I added the note to loam and seed the disturbed area with 4 inches plus of loam, cover with straw mulch. It's a very narrow strip. I don't wanna put wattle back there because then we're gonna have to pull the wattle out and we'll have an area that is gonna be needed to be seeded afterwards. So I'm recommending that we just put straw mulch over the top of it once it's seeded. Doesn't have a watershed area that's draining across it or to it. So I think that'll be more than adequate to keep the soil in place while the grass takes place.
The debris's been pulled out of there, or will be pulled out of there?
What debris?
The debris, the silt that had gone into around the trees, the base of the trees, I mean,
No. That gravel that was there before,
yeah.
that Jim used and leveled off, at the last meeting, we said, let's just loam over the top of it and seed it. And so that's what we're doing. Not trying to pull out stuff that's been there forever and ever and ever. We're just loam and seeding it,
You're talking on the backside, correct?
talking the backside,
Backside. All right.
okay?
I don't
We're
remember
gonna have
that.
to take some tiers off in order to access that.
We're not certain. He might be able to just bucket it over the top and have somebody on the backside spreading it with a rake. I think he can do that, because the reason for taking the tiers off was so that he could see what he was grabbing out.
In terms of growth, where that's a heavily shaded area as well, are we better to do a hydroseed, Amy, or put some type of tackifer on that steep bank?
It's not
going
heavily
down?
seeded, it's
No,
in
I'm
the
saying
southwest.
But there's trees
Heavily shaded.
that are right there that are shaded.
The trees are all down along here, there's no trees in here,
On the
it's just
backside?
shrub growth right in there, and then the train tracks
Yeah,
are
I think
right
it's pretty
here.
wide open right there. It doesn't get true.
It's not treated till down there.
Okay.
This is south, this is getting all afternoon sun,
Hmm.
alright?
Okay.
We'll get to the concern of this grading when we get to the O&M. I have a copy of an email from Chris Stoddard, responding to my email. I met with Chris and Jim Clyde, beginning of last week, I think it was. And they're in agreement with the idea of extending the line across and putting in a sediment forebay, which I have detailed here as sediment forebay number 2. Number 2, where I have the pipe coming in, and then we're stoning the base of the forebay, and then we're putting it up, and we have it right at the edge. So we're not digging out into there. In this case, Carl, we are taking out a little bit of that
Oh,
material that's
gotcha.
in that area and pulling it back.
I'm even thinking of the wrong area.
What's that?
So the highway pipe, so how are you gonna get the
The
pipe
highway
across
pipe,
there?
the culverts are here, the catch basins are here. They connect, they discharge behind the wall. It's paved over, goes into a catch basin that discharges in the swale. Where that pipe comes out right now, we're gonna just connect there and run the pipe right across.
So that catch basin, so you're gonna discharge out of the wall, overland flow to the catch basin, or you're gonna run a
No,
pipe
no.
to?
Just run the pipe.
Oh,
There's,
okay.
there's existing catch basins, go to an existing discharge
Right,
that
yep.
exists right now, to a paved channel to this catch basin
To a
that's
paved
behind that waste block wall.
So there's a channel, so there
There's a
is
channel from here to here,
open flow though
open
from,
flow from here to here, right now,
Okay, that's
today.
what I remembered, the pipe was really high and I didn't know it
Yeah,
went
That
and
was-
went
and
to-
it
that was a
channels to this
connection I'm
catch
trying to
basin,
solve.
that's already there, that's the
Right.
way it is, it's on the other side of the waste block
Right.
wall.
and it used to just come right out the bottom of the wall and.
It used to, long time ago, it came out and just went across. This was
Okay.
done, gosh, 2004 maybe?
Right, I think that's right,
I think it was right around 2004 that was done.
Okay.
Right, and that went into that channel and down
Yep.
messing up things, so we're taking that water out.
So what do you got down there again?
Don't worry.
Down there? So what,
So this is the sediment forebay, which is detailed here.
okay,
It's gonna be stoned on the bottom. The outlet of it is going to be right at just below the invert of the pipe. And we have a call-out note here for them to confirm the invert on the site and, set the pitch of the pipe and put it on there. And we're just gonna have it so that there's already stone on that slope right now. We're peeling that stone back down to that level and then digging the basin this side of that stone, which is where they have storage of stuff right now. We're moving storage out of that area.
will your O and M plan include inspection of that?
Yes, it does. I'm not gonna
And-
get into the O and M in
Okay.
just a minute.
And do you know what the flow is going to be to that
No, I don't.
basin?
No.
So you don't know the capacity yet? For
No, it's these two catch basins and it's the discharge.
To that spot? No, he said it was going to the other four.
It was coming here and discharging across the ground. Now we're putting a forebay to take out any additional sediment. There's very minimal, I mean, it's this little section of Spectacle Pond Road. It's not the dirt road that goes down, it's the paved road. And it's super elevated to
Anna,
those two structures.
Can I have that? Oh, sorry, I don't have any. Sure.
So, I think, we talked about those basins, we talked about the stuff. We have, the rest of the stuff I think is all covered now in the long-term, stormwater pollution prevention plan. And I have multiple ones of these things here, so that everybody gets a copy. No, here's all of them, they got them all bunched together. They have nice little plans for everybody to have too.
One thing that you haven't mentioned, Bruce, I just wanna make sure because it's recorded in our minutes, is that we had discussed a site inspection, but that's no longer necessary.
That was no longer necessary
Because you're not
because we're
going
not
to
gonna
do
go down there. And I
But
brought photos.
let's check the boxes and
Yep,
make sure we
I brought photos
we get
so
each
that
one.
you would, see that. Who didn't get one of these things? Who left out? Everybody else? Alright, so, multiple copies of it here. So, we get into the long-term pollution prevention plan. I modified this thing dramatically from where it was before. So if you go to page 3 of 14 on the bottom. So these are the various different practices that are included now. So the first one is the processed water filtering and recirculation. So
Mhm.
that's just, we're no longer doing a so-so closed system. It is a closed system now. The street sweeping, the existing deep sump hooded catch basins with the silt sacks, the stone drainage channel, the wear wall impoundment, the sediment forebays, there's 3 of them now, the settling basin, the infiltration basin in the western storage area.
And by that, you're referring to,
No. That is, well, turn to 2 pages further and there's a plan.
Yeah.
fold-out plan.
Okay,
The
I see,
infiltration
on the other
basin's
side of the,
down on the other side of the wetland area where
Mhm.
the storage is,
yep, so that's an infiltration basin for the road back there.
for that access area and that area over
Okay.
there. And then the gravel access drive, which is down along the edge, and the swale at the gravel access drive, which is what I found according to Google is called Bennett's Brook Lane, but I think it's a private drive. But I said, hey, Google must know more than we do, so. So, we're gonna flip through here to just after this pretty map. And actually more than after the map, we're gonna go, yeah, that's the right place, right after the map. So the operation of the best management practices. So the street sweeping is, they now have a sweeper. They're sweeping on a regular basis. It calls out in here, when to sweep, but they're doing it, actually, you gotta go to page 9. First, number 4 is the first thing. So 5, page 9 is where we want to start. Yeah, so page 9, so street sweeping, so it calls out, when there's basically dust on the pavement, you're gonna be sweeping it.
Minimum of every 6 months.
No, well, you go no less than once a day when 1.25 centimeters are.
He was referring later in the
Yeah.
text.
Okay. Alright, so then, next page, we have the deep sump catch basins with the silt sacks, and we talk about them, and inspections of them, and inspections after each storm. We have the drainage channel.
What's the minimum frequency on that?
Shows me on each one of these, I'm gonna have to read to remember here. It's after every major storm. At a minimum, the deep sump hooded catch basins will be expected monthly.
Okay.
Ideally,
Okay,
inspections shall
good.
be conducted at the end of every foliage and snow season.
Monthly, that's fine, I just wanted to
Yep.
understand it.
Okay. Jim's been doing about every 2 weeks to 10 days to 2 weeks. And
Okay.
when you go back through, he has all those logs that we gave him 2 years ago, and he's been filling them out, and now he's got a new list of things to put on there. The drainage channel is this stone channel that's parallel to the road down below.
So that's the one that has
The rock in it, the whole way down.
the rock in it. That's the one that we've always kind of worried about,
Right. because
that it wasn't
the road-
working correctly
kind of
and.
the road- Well, you
Well,
hard to
still-
clean.
The truck traffic kind of spills
and-
into it.
Well, then it goes into that 4-bay and then
it goes into the weir, and then into the 4-bay.
and into the 4-bay and then
And then
goes,
through the pipe and into the settling basin.
right.
So we've done 3 things now. We're going to be removing the catch basin flow from Spectacle Pond Road. We have in here a call out to, and it's in here further about the access road, which isn't a BMP, but we called out for maintenance of it. So we added it to the O&M to be graded and to be top dressed with gravel. Jim is gonna go through and skim it of any silt that's on the top for starters and remove that, and then he's gonna be top dressing it with gravel. We're gonna continue to have it super elevated to the swale. I was down there, one of the days it was raining, just after the last melt that we had, I think it was Monday or Tuesday. And we had a big puddle down here, because we haven't graded this area yet. And we drove down the road and it wasn't bad. I mean, there was a lot of moisture down there and it wasn't bad at all. So he's trying to keep it in a better step, but we want it to grade to this swale. We don't want it to drain to the wetlands.
No.
We want it to drain to the swale because we do have, where is this thing at here? We have the weir here, the wall and the weir.
Yeah.
It stops the first part, and then it goes over into the 4-bay. So we have these 2 areas of collecting the sediment as it flows down that swale. If it gets by the first one, we have the second area for collecting it. So we have those 2 places here.
The frequency of cleaning those 4-bays or inspecting those 4-bays?
Well, we have right here, and the next item is the weir wall impoundment, and the maintenance includes the settling of the weir wall and minimizing the flow, and adjusting the wall not to create overtopping, and that the wall creates an impoundment in the drainage, inspected weekly for any sediment accumulations, and be cleaned out by machine when sediments measure within 24 inches of the spillway.
Within 24 inches of the spillway that goes to the,
Spillway of the weir that
across.
goes into the forebay, which is
Yeah, I-
immediately
Oh, spillway of the
adjacent.
weir, okay. Not the spillway of the pipe leading into the
That's
next
correct.
basin, okay.
Okay, then the next one's the existing sediment forebay, and this portion here is, at a minimum, the forebay should be inspected weekly and after every major storm event of 1 inch of rain or greater. Sediment and debris will be removed a minimum of 4 times per year as needed when the sediment level is less than 6 inches vertical from the outlet of the pipes.
So the sediment gets removed, and you're in the back road there. Where does it go when, after you remove it? Is there a dump truck right next to you and you take it out and put it in?
If there isn't, we'll put it in with the stone cakes. Stone dust cakes.
You can add that into the narrative if you want, like suggesting with the O&M.
I mean, we state right in here that it has to be removed from the site, and it's the very next line. Collected sediment and debris will be properly disposed of per local, state, and federal. Any sediment and debris removed from the sediment forebay deemed to be contaminated must be evaluated in accordance with hazardous materials, blah, 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 blah.
I think that's, could be improved by being specific about what to do with it. To be stored with the sediment cakes or as approved by.
I'll add that line. Make a condition, I add that line. I'll add that line.
I don't even know if we need a condition.
It's not
to
a
that,
condition,
just-
you can just modify
Just
this,
add that.
because we haven't read through this yet, so.
Just in my experience, plans like this work best when there's a specific, you know, as consistent with federal regulations, can mean
It's
whole
very
lot of
general,
things.
yeah.
Added.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Then the next section is the sediment forebays. Those are referencing to the 2 new ones that we have down in area 2. Those are gonna be inspected weekly and after every major storm of 1 inch of rain or greater. Sediment will be removed at a minimum of 4 times a year when the sediment level is less than 6 inches vertical to the stoneware outlets. And both of these have stoneware outlets from the forebays. Okay. And I'll add to that one as well, to the storage area.
You know, it might be easiest for you is to just simply include another statement, you know, disposition of the sediment, because you're gonna come up with sediment in a few different places. Silt sacks, forebays, et cetera. It's 6 to
I
1,
got
it
it.
doesn't
I got it.
to me, but.
Good idea. Okay, the straw wattles I left in here because we have them on the outlet area, down at the end, of the settling basin, and we have them where the pipe crosses underneath the common drive on both sides, so I just kept that in there. The settling basin is not lined, so it will allow infiltration to occur. It's gonna be at a minimum, the settling basin is inspected weekly, and then after 1 inch or so rainstorms, and documented in the log, and during all inspections, record of the presence of differential, sediment, cracking, erosion, leakage in the basement, riprap, blah, blah, blah. So it goes through that whole piece. The infiltration basin is the one that's on, as we spoke about before, that's over on the other side, we have all that. And then the snow storage, the BMPs included in this manual shall not be utilized for snow storage. Snow shall be stored in the material stockpile, dewatering areas, blah, blah, blah. And then area 2, see the plans to use for stockpiling of sediment. And the last thing that I have in here was what I mentioned before, was the gravel access driveway adjacent to the swale. The owner will inspect and regrade 2 times annually. The owner shall add gravel and regrade as necessary to provide suitable elevated slope for adequate flow towards the stone drainage well. And then I have the forms that we'll be using on the site. Think that with all these little copies of the plans, and then 2 big sets. Additional photographs.
Swell at Common Drive.
You're gonna dump all that on me, aren't
You
you?
bet I am.
And you're gonna give me a
I'm not
signature
there,
on
you're not
one of
doing
them.
it.
Just sign one of those
On Onum branches.
So, the Stoneworks doesn't own the common gravel drive, right?
That's correct. Oh, that's
Yeah.
one more thing that's on there. We added a note to the plan, right up here, that driveway swale be maintained.
I mean,
It's in the,
The one.
it's in the notes.
in some ways, I don't feel that it's completely our responsibility to, like, we, all the trucks, you have all that truck traffic going down the road that's going further down past your site,
Right.
and then you have all the truck traffic that's across from you.
Right.
And it's all adding to,
So, and it's in their interest to keep that swale there, because
Right.
if we don't, it comes down our driveway and it becomes our problem.
You're talking
Right.
about the one here?
Yes.
That's what,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And so
Right,
Jim
no,
is
I-
maintaining that
Yes.
swale religiously.
and which I think you
And
should
it's in,
do, but
it's in the O&M.
Right.
I wonder if, I mean, I'm tempted to see if we can contact the other owners, and, I mean, there's only 3 owners, right? Are there 3 owners?
I think
4.
Wright actually owns it.
Well, here's an interesting thing. The Mass Aggregator, Middlesex, or whatever you wanna call them
Yeah,
now,
Middlesex.
they own a strip that runs, let me flip the page back,
It runs down, it's down.
Yeah.
right down the end. They own this little funny strip that comes
Right.
down like here to here.
So that swale,
So that swale is probably on their property,
not even bright.
They own
not even Bright's property.
Why did
So-
they hold the strip?
We don't know. We would just, he just.
So they own a strip?
We don't know. I'm looking into it though.
I mean, I guess my thought in this whole thing is that causes you a lot of angst going down with the
It
runoff.
causes us less angst to maintain it than it does if it's
Right,
not
because,
maintained.
right, because we have to do all the other parts, and that's really, that's not gonna be a problem, because we have, like you say, we have to do all of these areas here. So it's
Yeah, and
just one.
that's all I'm getting to. You're doing all this work on your property, and you have,
Yeah, but it's
you
for
know,
our
this-
benefit to, to do it, so.
If they don't maintain it,
right,
the people across the street
Exactly.
aren't gonna maintain
No.
it.
Right.
No one else is because, so we're gonna maintain it.
Thank you for.
And it's in the O&M, I just.
I guess if it ever becomes a problem, I think I'd encourage you to come back and
Okay.
see us, and then we'll figure out what we need to do with the other landowners,
Right.
because I think it's a multiple party solution. It's not
Exactly.
just, it shouldn't just fall on you,
Right,
and
but,
that's kinda what I'm getting at.
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
We've been saying that for a while, but thank you.
Yeah, it's important. It's,
So I think,
I got
go
a
ahead, Jeff.
question on this water treatment tank.
Yes.
You actually put a deposit
Oh,
on this?
yes, I mean, I think it's probably all,
And,
Paid for by now.
and this thing right here,
and we had, because before they shipped it, they had to have all their money.
They wouldn't ship it without a little money in their
okay,
pocket?
payments, 50% was due in the purchase order, 40% 10
Right,
days prior to the
40%.
shipment,
Right,
and 10% upon installation.
so they'll, the
So
10%.
they've
once they
already
install
gotten
it,
their
90%.
lion's share of the money.
Yeah,
And we did wipe out the numbers. I don't know what the numbers are, they were.
That's
You don't need
fine,
to know.
We don't need it.
That's not relevant, no.
That's okay.
I
Exactly.
wanna make sure they have it.
Yep.
So, my reading of the list of action items, the only thing outstanding is filing an NOI for the SWIP.
Thank you.
Um,
So I have a request, and my request is that you condition it, that we get it done within a month. It's just ridiculous to hold up this order condition for that to be done. As you are aware, and maybe not the rest of the people here, NIPIDs in Massachusetts goes to the federal government and not to Massachusetts. And we spent weeks trying to get to the right people. So it is gonna take a little bit of back and forth with them to get it done. So we would like it conditioned
I-
a month or so.
I would actually suggest perhaps longer than a month might be
Please.
necessary.
I
I
didn't want to push it out too
Yeah,
far.
no, I understand that. Here's why I would rather see longer. I would rather you guys put together a good SWIP, everybody's on board, rather than giving you a month and having you rush it.
Well, what about, so you're going out 2 meetings, so we meet April 17th or then
No, 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 no.
May 8th?
Well,
No,
I,
no, no,
After
no.
that?
I think-
We're just talking about a time frame.
Yeah, we are
And we
too, but
still
we're talking about
close it,
something
but yeah.
different.
But you're gonna condition it out to how many meetings do we wait
Oh.
to then bring that topic back up,
I
is
see.
what I'm referring to.
Ah,
Mhm.
So I wanna put it to a
where,
point.
where are we right now?
Well, we're trying to
First of
determine
April?
our schedule of when we meet. So we meet April 17th,
So why don't we
May
do the
8th.
first meeting in June?
we meet May 22nd, and then June 5.
Well, actually, let's look at it this way, because what we were looking at was from when you issue the order, which is gonna be 2 more weeks away anyhow.
Very good.
So, give me like the middle of June, wherever your meeting is, the middle of June.
June 5?
I-
Oh. 'Cause you're-
I'm comfortable with that, especially given all of the other things that we've talked about
Accomplished.
here. Yeah.
June 5 or June 19?
June 19. Thank you. I forgot. It was planned, but I
Let's check the
forgot.
boxes and make sure we address everything we need to address. Given everything else that's been done and the progress that's been made, I think that's a pretty reasonable accommodation.
So do you want to close this hearing up?
So the only other condition I've heard is updating the long-term pollution prevention plan to address where the sediments
Address the sediments, yep.
storage, or, okay.
Okay, so continue it.
Look at to the 17th, this has to be reviewed.
Do you need our presence on the 17th, or can I, well, actually, I'll be here that night anyhow. I'll be here.
Best
I'll be
to be here.
The church?
April 17th.
You can remember the church.
June.
No, church are closed. I'm
Oh.
coming
Close
back
that?
in
It's
for
condition-
501 grade.
Continue
Okay.
to April 17th.
Oh.
The condition will be for June 19th.
I
Got
think
it.
I'm filing something else.
Okay.
I can't remember what
All right.
it is.
Cool.
Speaking of the church, while I have you here,
Yes.
if it would be acceptable to the applicants, I would be interested in seeing that catch basin installed, the one with the silt.
With the silt prison?
Silt
To
prison.
the prison.
And if you wouldn't mind, and the applicants wouldn't mind, to let us know and have one of us on site, I'd be interested to see it.
I will make note.
Alrighty, so this is gonna be continued with the applicant's acceptance, April 17th. Thank
And,
you.
and Bruce, you haven't heard anything from Kimball's, have you? About what they're doing with the, was it the water line or something they need to
No.
put in?
Thank you. I will check on
Every
that.
nothing about that, yeah.
I will check on that. Let's do that on the next meeting. Put me on the agenda for that, because it's gotta be about that time.
Keep going.
Okay, we gotta move along.
Okay. Thank you.
Done with me?
Yep.
Thank you very much for your time this
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Amy?
Yeah, great.
We gotta do
We're
that.
not gonna do 12.
No.
Perfect. It was very informative, thank you.
No, get the order conditions done.
Still waiting for the good news, though. We haven't get to the good news yet?
I thought you were gonna tell me I made it.
Matt,
Matt,
A lot of progress.
what's more important to you? Get the order of conditions done, or the?
Well, we should be able to get them both done.
Well-
Nah, you see what time it is?
It's not my fault we're an hour and 20 minutes late.
we're just
For the
saying-
record, we're only an hour and 5 minutes late.
Well, regardless, I mean, that happened in the last meeting with us too. I mean,
Understood.
it-
You
that's
guys
not,
take up a lot of time.
What's
Not appropriate.
the concern? That
Trying to
we're,
get through 12 tonight. Says
Ah.
12.
well,
That's
no,
what it
there's only
says.
7.
well, there have been times that we've spent more time on your project. We've spent over an hour extra discussing your project, so it goes both
What-
ways.
What night would that be?
Okay.
The last time we were here,
Let's go ahead and move on.
the last meeting that we had.
We're all tired.
Let's
And
just
I
see, I don't
apologize.
Well
know
over
if
an
we're
hour.
gonna get all
Carl,
7
I'm
done
tired
tonight,
too. I
but we wanna
apologize.
get the order of conditions done
Yes,
tonight.
I think that's the top
So let's,
priority.
what I would ask is, let's go ahead and start to see how many we can get through. If we can't get through 7,
Yeah.
that's fine, we'll just go through as many, but we still have to go through the order of conditions.
I would like
So
to do
that's-
that first, that's a,
Let's just try and get a couple of these done first.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're ready to begin?
All right.
Give us a number.
We completed 9,
5 through 9.
and so the next one is number 10. So we have kind of hand-drawn in some potential sign locations at the back of the lot. So
That
we-
Chase had asked and we had met.
So,
Okay, so Amy, so as a point of record, please just state what lot we're looking at and what file number, just so we can carry on the same way we did at the last hearing.
sure.
So if you can reference that, it just makes it easier for notes.
Yeah, because I haven't seen these new plans
Yeah.
These are the
that
same,
have
this
the
doesn't,
signage on them.
No, this is just hand-drawn. These
Oh,
are,
okay.
these are the original
So
ones.
just
So
forward, okay.
this is
So
file
if you-
number 0843, lot number 10. So we had proposed just a couple sign locations back in the rear of the lot. Marked in red.
What's the distance here, approximately?
That's gotta be, so that's 50, so roughly 20, 25.
No, from the lot line
Oh,
across.
so wetland, you mean?
Nope, just
Oh.
this line, so we're just
Oh.
trying to come up with,
This, what this is here.
kind of a standard going forward. So if we're putting in 2 signs for this amount of frontage, we're designing, so if we have to add more signs, we have that.
Okay, so
Oh.
1 inch is 20 feet, so,
So we're putting in 2 signs on the back of the lot. Okay.
Now,
But,
are
okay,
we,
good.
are we going to be asking them to put them on the 50-foot if possible? So that people don't go beyond that?
No, we had the last lots at 25 feet from the
The
wetland.
wetland.
That was the
That
closest.
was
Some
because
were
of the
farther
space.
from the wetland than that, based on property boundaries or other considerations.
Thank you.
That's accurate, right?
I guess I'm
Well,
wondering what the-
we had, if you go back to lot
lot 5.
5,
Because the purpose of the signs isn't to show where the lot line is, it's to show where the land is to be protected.
so what we had done, if you recall, is measure from this wetland line out, and you had set some
25
sort of a
feet.
25-foot radius off of that, and we've carried that through with the notations of the signs on the next lots that we had done.
So if we go
But I
back to
think
the-
that's because on that lot particularly, you wanted as much lawn as possible, correct?
Correct.
So is that the same, circumstance for this other one?
On lot 10, we're using the tree line, and just outside the tree line, and we're greater than the 25 feet that we had established in our prior
That's
meeting.
why I
Okay, tree
think it's
line.
gonna be on a case-by-case
Right.
basis, so I think this one's further away, but it's in the best location for the signage on the tree
I'm
line.
just wondering, because our regs say that the 50-foot no disturb, so I didn't know if the purpose of the signs is to just
50-foot is.
put on the
is
tree line, or
here.
to actually say that,
Mhm.
okay, do not,
You've got grading going on.
We have the
Oh.
grading that
Got
was
the
part of the
grading. Yeah.
NOI.
But it doesn't
Yeah.
mean it can't be restored.
After
Well-
on the upland side of the grading.
because my concern is, we don't want to just mark the tree line, we want to mark where we don't want people to mow or disturb it. And if ideally, we would want that at the 50
But that's a
foot.
retention area, so they're gonna mow around it.
Right, so that's my question, that, I didn't know what the purpose of the
Can I say
signs
what?
were, and what our actual preference would be if there isn't actually disturbance there, or the retention basin. Because I don't wanna, I want our purpose to be clear about the
Well,
sign.
is the language of the sign, is that in question, or is that, this is the standard one that
Yeah.
we would use?
That's
something
the one that
similar?
we.
Oh, no, I know, but I know what the
That's
sign
fine.
is,
Yeah,
but,
It's just purely the location.
yeah, but whether or not we're gonna stick with the 25-foot all the time, or whether it's just to
It's
mark the
by,
no
by
disturb.
lot.
Yeah, I think we very
Yeah.
carefully made sure not to set any
Yeah.
particular number, but you'll see
Standard
like in,
number.
in lot 5, we actually go outside of the tree line to keep that 25.
Yep, I
Lot
remember
6,
that.
we sort of stick to the tree line, but we're closer to 35 feet here, so it,
Cause that's very close to the house, and there was,
Exactly,
so,
and that-
yeah, so if we go lot by lot and decide individually, not to have an expectation that will always be 25 feet,
Right.
that's what I would like to
But,
clear.
but the sign, to answer your question, right, the sign's gonna indicate the,
Not to mow.
not to
That
mow,
limit.
beyond that sign. I mean, trying to get back to your point.
Well, you're not gonna mow because there's trees there.
Right,
but that's not universally the case.
it's not your, right.
No, as we come around the corner, it's gonna be a little more ornery.
And if there's an
Just the
area
back
where you
signs.
wanna try to get some restoration, this is one of the lots where you can get restoration.
Yeah, I
The way I
mean,
like the write-up.
if we put it on, at the top of the slope there, for them not to mow, is that gonna cause a problem? Or do you need that?
Well, the slopes are
slope
gonna
mowed?
need to be maintained, because what we can't have is something, well,
But that
they'll
slope,
have to be mowed at some frequency.
the slope on this is at 287 for the basin. The rest of those slopes is just a grading slope.
That could be overgrown with naturalized.
Is it a gradings?
Where's the sewer line? Cause you need to be able to know where that's.
That's way up.
Lot 10, the sewer line's way up there.
Okay.
But it's, this is all the grading area here.
Yeah,
We're gonna
but
be in there
But
with
do you
them.
need that actually mowed, or can it be just naturalized?
Well, there's also a difference between lawn and mowing once a year.
Right, yeah, we don't want it lawn, that's for sure.
It's never mowed once a year. That whole area
Well,
is not
that's a
mowed,
discussion to
but
be,
it's not now.
No, we're talking, that's future for order conditions in terms of basins to mow them once a year.
People wanna have their backyards, and it, you know, we've worked, everybody's worked long and hard on this.
But where's the house on that lot?
outside the
Right
100.
Here.
This is the deck right here. That's the edge of it right there.
So I think what Anna's referring to is that you have all this lawn that's
Right.
coming here. So,
And
you know, you could look at
I-
these grade lines and.
I don't wanna pull it all the way up there. You're making an odd-shaped lot, an odd-shaped lawn that doesn't need to be, that's greater than the 25-foot.
We have a 50-foot no disturb in our reg, so.
We've,
as close
we've
as
gone,
we can-
Anna, we've gone through this, there's no reason to keep going through this.
Well, no, we need to go through this because we need to be able to determine if, for every lot, we just want the maximum regrowth and naturalization within the 50
Right.
foot.
That's what we're
That's what we
talking,
want.
that's why we're handling lot by
Tell
lot.
me, tell me this, from a usability of this lot, we have this sort of odd little corner down here, right?
Mhm,
We come down from the lawn and we have this little notch.
mhm.
See, I think this is gonna be hard to mow. I think that looking at most of the lots, I think this is actually one of them, ones that would be easy to let this go back. I look at it a little bit.
How about we
differently.
look at it when we're out there after we do the original grading and talk about it then? I mean, this is a moving target we're all gonna be working on. You're gonna be out there, and
I'd rather put the condition in now and then you can take it out.
I'd rather have it not in there and you can put it back in.
I understand that, which is putting the onus on us.
I'm not putting any onus on you. I'm trying to.
You can't do
I'm-
that though unless it's an enforcement order. You can come in and ask for an amendment, but
Right. We can't ask you for an amendment.
We're gonna be in there, this lot is in there where all those pricker bushes are getting ripped out.
So just plant the conservation mix there instead, and then push the markers up further.
Where
or can you
you,
just draw a line
give a
across where the
specific
50 foot
location that
is?
you're proposing a marker in,
50 foot?
a contour line, for example, 280, 278.
Yeah, maybe at the,
279.
one on the left.
And could
on
you
the
just
base of
kinda-
Slope or something,
Do this?
yeah,
Where are you marking, on the 278?
Well, there's the 50 foot,
yeah.
and then just,
No,
Tie-
I
tie-
know,
tie
I'm
it
not,
into
I don't want
the
that.
person.
Or just
Take
put
a
on
they have over 50 feet of lawn.
I don't,
Put it 50 foot,
no,
put it along 50 foot on the left.
right there.
50 foot, 50 foot.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we're at a little bit of a stalemate, so to keep this moving, I have two suggestions. Either we table this for the minute, go on to another one, and see how the other ones look.
Table it.
Or split the difference of some sort. So that's what I would pertain to you. Table it, we'll come back to it, move on to another one, or split the difference and,
Are you talking 35 feet?
No, it's the 50 foot from 280 to where we are, that right there would be, what number would that be? 279?
I think this is one of the easier ones because of the contour, that it would be amenable to.
Sarah, where are you comfortable
Going
with
on
it?
the 50.
I think that this is probably one of the lots that because you've got this grading and the mowing is gonna be a little odd. I think that this is one that you should look at and go, this isn't a better restoration area. But if you feel comfortable, we can table it and go on to another
And
one.
furthermore, part of your application for the utility and site grading essentially said that there are areas of the site that will actually be brought back to natural conditions. So the field will be allowed to revert back to the original state. So that was part of how you arrived at the net reduction of area. And this might be a place where it's a little more practical to achieve that goal without seriously negatively impacting the homeowner.
Okay.
Which then, when we get to harder lots, will allow us a little bit of flexibility and say, okay, we've given a little ground here.
So if we came from between 280 and 278 across to the 50-foot line, would that
I
be?
think it would be easier to come across to there like.
Well, this has
that,
got to be
because this is
maintained
all-
and,
Exactly.
I mean, but this is grass and this is a very shallow. And this is all grass on the backside too. I mean, so, I mean, if we came across to that line, to the 50, I'd be fine with that.
Something like the 279 contour
Here,
or
no, no,
something
do you
along.
Okay. I think
Yeah,
that,
that's fine.
yeah, I think this is one that it's kind of an obscure grade lines anyway.
It's the first one of the night, let's,
So to put the
Well-
signs, where would you put the signs?
well, we'd have to put the sign here and we'd move this one
Probably do there.
somewhere up.
Just come up.
How would I describe that line?
Red, it's red.
Red, okay.
The red line.
Reddish orange.
Okay.
All right, good. Moving on to
Reddish
11.
orange.
You know I can't vote for you, so it's just- have at it.
All right, here's lot 11. It's a
Do you
pretty,
have an extra one of those? Because it's hard for me to.
Here. Oh, there's actually 2 copies in there.
Now, this one, we're way away from the residence. And we're at the tree line.
You said it's-
Where is this line in relationship to this line?
Is it easier to look at this?
that would be right
So
about
right-
here.
So move that one up there.
This
Give
one
him, yep, give him that so we can put the line,
up here, something,
right.
okay.
And then we'll put the other one up on the
Can
tree
you
line where it's,
orient on this for me?
11, so we're talking right, this,
you're talking right here at this line here across, and then you're putting one here, and then we're gonna go back up to the tree line up on that one.
so using this 280 is kind of the reference. so-
270, no,
Yeah, I think it was a little shallower than 280.
yes, we're really, like right there, Market Chase.
Right, if we
Yeah,
follow it.
yeah, off of this one here.
You put it on,
Yeah, I put
put
it
the
too
red
high.
mark on there.
That's my file copy you're marking up. No, I mean, which is fine, but that means they're not gonna walk off with it, because I need it.
Yeah, I'll put it.
And then
back-
we're
I'll
gonna
put it
go back
in
up
here.
to the corner where you have it on 11 there.
So you need to move.
We're
Right.
moving,
Yep, so you're gonna, this one,
yes, right to there, and then we're keeping that one where we had it, on the tree line.
so but you need to mark this.
That one.
I'll let you do it,
Right about here?
because these are gonna be Amy's reference.
So that is gonna be sort of basically a limit of lawn, and you haven't really discussed what's gonna happen on the wetland side of that line in terms of mowing or planting. That hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't discussed,
All right.
yeah.
Right, so we'll just,
And then the rest of lot 11 is either outside of the 50, and it looks like all of the driveway is outside of the 100.
Just keep it with that
so
package.
it's-
Yeah.
Snow
No,
storage
but-
is
oh,
is
sorry.
back
gotta keep
there.
it all
Yeah.
together.
Sorry.
I'm gonna put it on the top.
I'm comfortable with 11.
All right,
Okay,
moving on
so what's the next one?
12.
Okay.
So we have, it's a pretty tight one. There's almost no backyard.
So we're going right to the tree line
So
on
we're just
12.
staying, yeah, so we're just staying tree line.
Yeah, right on the tree line.
Okay.
So we're good with 12?
You correct with where I
Good.
I'm good.
was?
Yep.
I thought 12 was going to be a challenging one, but yeah, I'm
Because
good
it's
with
just
that.
a tree line, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna give this to Amy, so this is her. Reference. What number?
13.
It's up here,
Have the
You gotta
next
give the
one.
DEP number.
I've got it.
Okay.
And-
846.
Because I just wanna pull this out.
It's 12. Yeah, because 13
This one too
has
has a shallow
the cross
backyard,
culvert in
but
it.
then we have the coming across. It's in the,
Are these all the same Amy in the back?
There's 2 copies, I think.
Right, so we,
so we've got that grading that we've done, and we wanna put the
Don't hand something back
right
to
down
me.
between the
It's all like, it's all like one
outlet and the
pile.
tree line.
If you wanted to look at it.
Oh,
Right here, Chase?
Sure.
So,
so that's one where we might be talking about something tighter.
tighter?
That's what I mean, we're not able to achieve that
I can mark mine.
25 feet.
Well, that,
That's a tough one.
That's, yeah, that's crazy, because you'll be on the other side of the, we wanna have that maintained around it.
Talking about over here.
Yeah, we're talking about the outlet.
Yeah, because that's all
Suggesting right there.
disturbed, so you wanna keep that
Clean.
clean and mowed.
That's why we wanna put it on the far
I think
side.
that's a reasonable
I agree, I wanna
compromise
keep
there.
that clean, I don't want,
Right.
And there would, it's closer than wetland than I'd like it, but I don't see any other
Yeah, but you have to
practical
keep it clean,
alternative.
yeah.
right, yeah. Yep. And
Alright.
then, so the other bound,
Is right at the same corner of this one right here.
so how about you, Mark?
Yeah, so we had one here,
So
We-
on this lot, so it would be,
yeah, we had one here, one here, one here, one here.
okay. So 13's done, 12, 13's done.
Okay. This is 14, it's 0847.
Do you have 14 on here?
Yep.
It's the same, it's the same,
That
So,
one.
yeah, so you'd carry over, but then come up a little.
we can't because we have the structures for the septic that we have to maintain. So we have to put it on the other side, right here.
the PVC
So here, I don't think that-
So we
Yeah.
wanna have one right here between the tree line and the structure, because that's
oh,
That's
'cause
the
I'm
force
missing-
main.
Yeah, I'm missing this side. But the force main is on the next property.
no, the force main is on,
Why is it not on this plan?
it's
Because
right
you're
here.
looking at you're actually looking at the lot 13 plan.
Do you want 14?
So we have one here
Back into it.
and on the other side of this one here.
Yeah, I think when we have areas that need to be maintained, I think we really, our hope is to really keep it maintained.
Yeah,
And even if we tried to ask them to move it out a little bit, because there's a little space here, it's impractical.
I'd
if
rather
it's
stay
not-
consistent
It-
on,
that's
it's
what I'm thinking.
easier shot on those lines.
Right,
Want me to
natural
draw?
boundaries will be respected a great deal more than,
so we have, on the lot here, we have one there, we have one here, one here, one here, and one here. Okay,
All right, this is 15, which is 0848.
and it's the same exact thing with the tree line
Very
and
tight,
force main.
very little backyard.
So you wanna be on the downside of the force main anyway.
You have to be on the other
Have to
side
be,
of,
yeah.
to maintain.
Absolutely.
Right,
Do you have that one that I can draw on?
See right at the tree line?
We're outside of the tree lines
Yeah.
on them.
But as those are marked, you're probably guessing 35 feet from the wetland boundary.
Right.
As is, so.
let's just make it so that it's not when we're talking tree line, let's be conscious of that we're not putting it through the root of a tree, that we're actually being diligent I mean, you're investing in the bounds, let's make sure we're putting it in
Yep.
a good spot, yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
agree. So that's depicting lot 15 on both bounds on the downside of the force main.
I would put, I don't know, that if you're right on the corner, can people see it very well? I would say you wanna move it a little bit so people can.
Well, we can move them if you want,
I
and
think you're gonna be looking at where the trees, I think that's gonna be an infield on some of
yeah,
those.
you might
may
say,
you may wanna stake them, Amy comes out and say, okay, let's make it so it is visible, we don't wanna hide them, but we also wanna make sure.
oh, I don't
that
want them
it's-
hidden either.
so.
And the other nice thing about putting them out at the edges is that we can duplicate them at the lot boundaries. Whereas if we tighten them up, then there's a
Maybe I
little bit
do
of
one
Right.
lot
ambiguity.
15 here.
Good point.
Yeah.
I'll reattach it.
Makes sense.
Mm.
Makes sense.
And I think overall, I mean, these lots aren't, grotesquely wide. People will
No.
be able to connect the dots. At least that was the presumption we made when we went through this exercise with Durkee.
Okay.
All right?
Now,
Very
60's
good.
kind of,
I
60's
guess
kind
we'll
of a weird one.
find out if this,
Yeah.
I
how
hurt my back,
effective
so I
it will
can't
be.
stretch.
yeah, operates as.
Is this our last one we're doing
It's our
tonight?
last one.
Yeah.
So this one's a little bit different. We gotta put it at the down bind, and then we go off, and we just wanted to continue it over on the lot, because that's a 50-foot.
Mm-hmm.
And then put it over here at the tree line. Just to keep uniform going across the backside.
I don't have a problem with that.
Well, we don't get a taste of 17, it's a little.
You're out.
You put the sign in the buffer zone.
Wait, on that.
I don't want it.
Which one?
Sorry, I can't reach it.
This one?
Where are they gonna be?
But the one closest to me is
Lot
dot.
17.
Oh, so on this side of that?
No,
No.
no, that lot, but the dot closest to me. Why is it isn't that in the middle of the trees?
No, it's outside.
No, it's not, trees
That's,
aren't.
they're getting, these trees are getting taken out
Oh,
right
they're
here.
getting taken down.
These are
Because that's where
staying.
that force main
So we're
is.
trying
Do
to,
we wanna have it then be on the old tree line? Or is that
No, it's
possible?
still.
no,
'cause
you're
you got your
outside the
force-
50-foot.
Oh, the force main.
Yeah,
Oh.
the
force
force
main,
main.
and we wanna be on the downside of the force main.
I see. Okay.
As these lots are sold, and I know you've probably already sold some, are you telling the owners that come in
It comes in, it goes
with
in the
these
deed.
signs and what they mean,
Yep,
and
yep.
give them a little lesson
Yeah,
as to where they're buying?
yeah.
Well, and I
Well,
think
that-
They're gonna be up, they're gonna
that's an
be up.
excellent segue to the order of conditions.
Well, wait a minute, 'cause it's not like with Durkee where they have to come in. Are we doing that, where they have to come in?
With the homeowner?
No, they don't.
No, no, I'm not saying, that's why
No,
I'm,
no,
that's why I'm.
that's entirely up to you, because it would be
It
the
is,
exact
it
same
is
thing.
up to us.
Right.
When
We're
the
not gonna
property,
have homeowners come in.
when the
That's-
property
that's what-
transfers, the
That's
new
what we do
owner,
at Durkee.
Has to come in. Talk about it.
So the
They
new,
don't have, they can come in as a group, and it's informational, that's what we do at
Okay.
Durkee.
Okay.
so they'll come in.
It's the same as Durkee.
If we so
if we
condition.
choose, yeah.
that's one of the standard.
I think we
Consistent.
should condition it, because I think it's important
Okay,
that
let's
people
finish
know.
these, cause we can get to that. Okay.
Okay, we're through the lots.
Okay.
Now we're on to the NOI.
We're switching to the order conditions?
Yeah.
For the road.
So it's a group seminar, Carl?
What's that?
Would
They
we set
can,
one?
If they'd
I
like.
mean, even if there's just one, they just have to come in, or they can do it as.
Yeah, we're open to that, sure.
Right.
We're
I don't
just-
think, I don't have a problem with
We've
it.
just started it with Durkee, so we're just starting, the first owners are starting to kinda come through, so.
The people that are, you were right, we have some reservations. The people that are reserving these are specifically looking for the type of open space that's incorporated with this. and they,
So they're vested anyways.
yes, they are.
And
As
our
well
biggest
as us.
concern is oftentimes we see people come in that we have to issue an enforcement order to because they just don't even know that there's a resource area.
I'm sure.
Right, so this is,
Right.
at least we get a introduction.
Can I say, are we tabling the house NOIs for now? What are we doing with
They're all
this?
done.
Well,
Oh, we're not
they're
done.
they're not all done in terms of discussing conditions, pesticide
Oh, that's-
use,
yeah.
all that other
Right,
stuff.
let's finish that before we move on to the other, so I think.
I know, I'm happy tabling, I just wanna make sure I know.
Mm.
Do we need to table it?
I would think that we do the order of conditions and then close it out when everything's done. 'Cause that part's done, now it's just order of conditions and then,
You might wanna table this, do the order conditions for the subdivision roadway piece of it, so you have that language in mind
Right.
before
Yeah,
discussing
Because some of it
these.
is gonna be the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Good with that? Okay.
So when we say table that, do we mean table that for tonight, or do we mean
Tonight.
continue to 2 weeks?
No,
I was gonna say, you tell me.
no.
I would just assume rip the Band-Aid off and let's
Yeah, I mean, we'll just,
punch.
I'd rather figure it all out tonight.
I like that phrase.
Okay, so just to be clear, we're gonna come back to this in a little bit. So what we'd like to do now is go back to the order of conditions for the road, correct? So I think all the commissioners have seen what we've been working on. Amy has been great about developing what we're calling FCPX, some of the things like first, so prior to construction, during construction. So it kind of goes through pre-construction as well. So, in the last round that I saw, I have some suggestions in terms of when we go through X1. Does everybody have a copy of the old? Hard to read.
do we have any more paper copies of that?
I didn't, of course, date
Oh.
these, but
You have one?
I don't have any.
I don't have one either.
Did we ever?
No, because it's still a work in
Okay.
progress, so it hasn't been
do you want me to run a
finalized.
few
So this-
copies of this?
This
Sure.
is still,
That'd be great, thanks.
yeah, so it's still a working session. So, we're not gonna start without you.
This will be on video on the town website if you need to head out. Yeah, so you can watch it later on. You don't have to sit through the whole meeting.
Although your departure will also be noted on the video, so.
It will be now.
Do you have, because we're on hold for a few minutes, are there any questions we can answer for you in terms of the process?
Actually, is it, how you guys get appointed to this position?
Ooh,
Is it,
we.
yeah, that's like, how you get to here? Like,
A series of very bad choices.
How you doing, Mr. Fields?
How are you?
Good.
It's a great question, which the chairman is gonna answer for you.
Okay.
Basically, there's a form you have to fill out and submit to the selectmen. You also come in and give us a synopsis of your experience.
That's what I was gonna say, you're gonna have to like protect.
Come in and talk with us
Yeah. Make sure you
and
get-
tell us what you have on your mind, and we'll tell you what we're going through. And as you're seeing tonight, we go through a lot.
Yeah.
He's got my vote.
Should
No,
also,
I'm not joining this, I'm just, doing an informational thing, learning about public administration.
but one thing that's important to note is that this is a commission that we each have different expertise. It's a
That's what I was
commission
kinda
of
picking
lay
up.
people.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily intended to be a commission of experts.
Right, okay, I kinda figured you guys have all.
I have the old
Yeah.
copy, I think. Thanks.
And there's a substantial amount of training that is available to
Thank you.
commissioners who come to the commission.
Oh,
without-
okay.
Thank you.
And you also have to go in front of the selectmen,
Selectmen.
You guys are all sitting
and
here.
then they,
Thank
so
you,
they
Amy.
hear you out as well.
We, as a board, collectively, if we have 3 or 4 applicants, if we're real lucky, that we try and pick who we think will fit the particular position at this given time.
Okay, let's go ahead and start. Alright, so I think, if we can skip over the findings, which I feel as though is just a general introduction of the process. It reviews through the waiver, why it was selected. I feel that the language in the findings is proper. When we get into.
I will say just
Actually,
one thing
can
on, well, okay.
Good.
One thing on the finding, the numbers will change because you
Yes.
just moved some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I might take the
numbers
numbers
that you
out.
see in front of you may move. So the document that you have is already inaccurate,
All right.
so.
Well, they're not gonna move unless they give us numbers, so I might just take the numbers out, because I assume you're not gonna recalculate the numbers.
Right.
I also noted the findings don't reference any particular plan set. Were you able to get all that on the forms, or should we include a reference to a particular plan set in the findings?
It will be on the forms. Actually, it won't be in the forms. There's gonna be a special list with all the stuff on it.
So that'll be on the to-do list. Where it says X1, so what I'd like to do is to take out 1 and 2, and basically we would then turn them into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which are not shown on here.
Which I have here if people want copies of them.
Yep, so we can
Pass
read
those around.
through this, we're happy to.
I would suggest we rename, what are currently X?
Well, they're not gonna be X. They gotta fit someplace.
Well, but as far as the structure of this, it seems that we should have general construction permit. Well, I guess maybe the first.
Okay, what I would propose is to stay with the current format, but
Mhm.
renumber. So I'm asking to take out X1 and X2, and then reference an email that Chris helped, Attorney Heap helped Chris, Amy with, and that at the bottom of page 1,
We also have in there on X2, it says cement bounds. We were not doing cement bounds.
okay, so in order to make this process go, some of the words that you're looking at
Yeah.
are already getting struck.
Okay,
So while I appreciate you responding to that, that's already coming out.
okay.
So,
She just said X1 and X2 are coming out.
Yeah, but I didn't know if I hear.
right, so, okay. So,
Chris, do you have one of these? I do.
so what I'm asking is, when you're looking at some other notes, so X1 would now be, until such time as the roads and related drainage infrastructure are accepted by the town as public ways, the applicant, its heirs, successors, and assigns shall be responsible for operation and maintenance of the stormwater basins, including basin 1, 2, 3, mowing in the outer rims, including basin slopes. Number 2, until such time as easements over the public trails shown on the approved plans are conveyed to the town, the applicant, its heirs, successors, and assigns shall be responsible for operation and maintenance for all the public trails. Number 3, the applicant, its heirs, successors, and assigns shall be responsible for mowing septic field slopes. Number 4, in accordance with the conditions that we'll reference in a minute, above, prior to the conveyance of any residential lot or dwelling unit within the project, the applicant shall arrange for the creation of a homeowners association, subject to the review and approval of town council, which everyone's talked about, and which shall be recorded at the registry of deeds, that adequately provides for all required operations and maintenance and a financial means for the association to provide for the same. I would then propose that we add a 5th one. So Amy, are we at 4? So we're not yet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where X2 would either come in or come out of, because the cement bounds are already referenced on the plan, we don't have to reference them in this. So that's why I'm taking out what was in the comment, because they're already on the plans. So I would say that is F1 through 4, which is new, and we're striking out the X's. Now moving into pre-construction conditions. I believe that we can strike F7. So that would be, we would then follow through, there would be 10, so the rest would follow through. So there would be now 10 in the F section. as we move through to C1, which is known as the construction conditions, starting at C1. The only question I had was that. In, out, and how is that numbered? So, Amy, you can probably help me with that, where it says C18, so we split.
Oh, it had been at the end, but I thought it made more sense to have it up front,
Okay,
because
so
it was
we're
gonna
just
happen.
moving it, so,
I just didn't renumber it, because I wanted to.
okay, perfect, so that helps. So we go C1, and then it jumps C to 18.
Well,
C18.
one comment on
Wait a minute.
Yep.
C18. We identify specific target species, multiflora rose and oriental bittersweet.
Mhm.
Do we want to expand that?
Expand it to brambles.
Well, shall include something broader to cover whatever invasives are encountered. In other words,
So that way you can take
if
them
you
out if
guys
you
are,
encounter
if
them.
you guys are
Yeah,
pulling
no,
out
I hear you.
invasives, I don't want you to leave something because it's,
Like buckthorn.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, we found some buckthorn, that's not covered by a condition. We're just gonna leave that right there.
So,
So should I just take out that sentence, target species shall consist of?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yep, that makes sense.
invasive species to be physically removed, yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
perfect, okay, good. So then we would follow through.
But then we reference the target species in the second, the sentence after that. Do we want to just say,
Any invasive
removal and
species.
disposal of invasive species shall follow the recommend?
Sure.
Recommended removal techniques? Because there's certain ways that these things.
Yeah, we reference
We
that,
did,
yeah, and we reference it
Right.
of what's, yeah,
I just referenced SISMA in there, if,
right.
you could probably say, or the equivalent if you want to use something besides SISMA, but that was
I
at
think it's
hand.
fine to leave that in, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know that. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we go on to the next page. 7, and then 8, we took some out that didn't really apply to this project, but I think most that are in there are now, so we've got A, B, C, D, E, F. So we just added some different wordsmithing. C9 stays, 10, this gets into erosion control,
Right.
sedimentation. 11,
Well, one thing to note, C13 is about dewatering. Amy, did we include a statement in the findings that no dewatering is anticipated?
I thought I did, but let me make sure.
I'm not saying we didn't,
I
I
think
just
we
wanna
did. I mean,
make
We
sure.
talked about it, you explained to me what it was, so I know we talked about it.
Right, and I just wanna make sure that the findings cover that and we're all on the same page.
okay.
Oh, I just mentioned the part about regrading. I did not mention the part about no dewatering.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll add that back to the findings on the first page.
So the condition C13 essentially says, you're not gonna dewater.
And if you do, you need to
Right,
stop and come
and
back. Let's go
till we
back
get the
to
check.
C11, because we added, this took some discussion to figure out when we want to have the monitor or to really look at the storm. We know sometimes you could just have, an inch and a half, or you could have sustained rains over many days. So we wanted to make sure that we were putting into account both of those. So I like C11, how it's been written now.
You have a problem with C11?
That seems reasonable.
It says Q 4 hour?
You do
Yeah, it
talk
should be
up.
24.
Oh,
Right, and
okay.
that's the teeth that we talked about.
24
If the
hours.
SWIP stuff isn't working.
Right.
And the inspections are not happening.
So 12, 13, 14. And most of these are straightforward for what we've used on other projects. Going through, we'll see you've got the gap from 17 to 19, because we wanted 18 to come up to the top, so all these Cs are gonna get renumbered. Then we go into the last, which are known as conditions in perpetuity. We've talked about many things, stormwater, we've talked about snow storage, stockpiling, P3, pesticides, herbicides. We're gonna, I ask that we strike.
What-
No, just if you want, read it. Yeah, so, do you wanna discuss P3?
Well, I did, because it pertains to Danny.
No, you'll see where it says non-agricultural.
Okay,
Yep,
all right.
so at the
Yep,
very
wait.
beginning, we took that into
We're
account.
careful to make sure that
Yep,
that was.
so we've been sensitive to that. P4, I asked that gets struck, so we're gonna omit that. So this P series will be changed down to 5. The basins, we are asking the basins basically get mowed once a year.
I would put in a minimum of once a year.
Put in,
Because you don't know how, if we get a lot of rain, the stuff's gonna grow extensively, so it may need to be.
There's nothing wrong with putting minimum in there.
Well, it's
Well,
gonna be
it's
two
the exact
very
opposite.
different
but
end
it's
results.
too opposite, cause you don't want it done on a regular basis as
And
well.
then there's no wildlife habitat
I
value.
gotcha.
Right, so,
So you're on limit.
right. I feel comfortable with what's in here, and we can come back and,
Okay.
you know, it can,
I mean,
something like that can get amended.
Unless we
Anything
wanna,
in here that bothers you?
Just that C19 removing of debris from the wetland and buffer zone, was that discussed? Is
We
that-
discussed
Yeah,
it,
we-
that's where you can kind of go in without slashing and burning and taking everything
Right.
out. If you can go in and move some of that old junk, that's great. You know, if it becomes, if it's too far in or too far embedded and there's a tree in the way.
Should I use a term besides debris, actually?
We're talking about the car
Yeah.
and that stuff. We'll
shopping
We kn-
carts.
we'll drag it out with a chain.
We know what debris is, we all feel comfortable, but that's also in the field, so if there's something else that you wish to take out, you can always ask.
Come and see you.
Okay.
Nothing like Middlesex.
Well, I mean, could it be the trees that are knocked over and things like that?
That's why I was wondering if you needed to
Yeah.
define
It's not
debris.
considered
Right.
If you want, we can define debris as a
It could just be man-made
non-organic,
debris.
non-organic substance. If you wanna go to that, so if there's a tree that's down,
Or
it's
just
gonna
man-made
I don't have any
Man-made
problem. I'm not
debris?
rooting around in the prickle bushes if I don't have to.
Well, that's the thing,
It's
it's
non-
saying.
You're not doing a lot of rooting around in the prickle bushes either way.
I'm not. You're right.
So
Well, those
if
days
you
are
wanna
over.
add, if you wanna
Got
maybe
that.
define
Man-made, so if there's
Man-made,
a wooden stool in there, which is organic, they can take the wooden stool out.
more, fair enough.
Man-made debris.
Anybody have any questions so far on these?
Or tis
Um,
Egypt.
Where,
I'd like to
Dan,
hear
you?
if Chris has
Let me
got any.
flip
Let's-
through again
yeah.
quickly.
Oh, take your time.
No, I'm good. I've worked a little bit with Amy on
Chase, do you have any questions on?
perhaps I've missed it. Where is the condition that requires either acknowledgement of the order of conditions when the property is transferred, or they come make friends with us?
So you're talking about the Durkee condition?
Yes.
F3, I believe?
See, I told you I just missed it.
Yeah, the applicant, its heirs, successors, and assigned shall be responsible for mowing, no, that's, oh, sorry, that's.
F. And I had that,
Conjunction with the sale of any lot.
Before a COC is issued, yep.
yeah, so,
No,
I
it's
but
not.
I had that
Okay.
underlined, is that when you wanna tie it to? And do you also wanna say the next scheduled meeting or not? I was wondering if you wanted to keep, if that wording was appropriate. Because in conjunction with the sale of any lot governed before COC, the COC could be, no, never mind.
So our
It was-
order of
it was the
condition will be
next.
completed when we make the sale of the house. If you want them to come in,
It's the same, let's just pull the exact same wording.
Well, I don't think we
Durkee?
should pull the exact
Which
same
had
order.
next, and I don't think you want
It's
next.
coming-
I don't
There's
think you
no
want
ambiguity.
next.
It's the before or after?
you want the
closing?
buyer of the home to come in
Yeah.
front of you.
Yeah.
And the
Right.
way this is written,
Well, if you're selling it to another
Builder.
contractor or a builder, we'd
That builder still
like
needs
to
to
say
come
hi
in.
to them as
absolutely,
well.
absolutely.
Right, so not just
Not just the home buyer.
the home buyer, not the ultimate home buyer, but,
But not necessarily at the next scheduled
well,
meeting.
right, I think that
That's why
should
saying
be,
the word next and just be taken out.
because
at
I
A.
would be happy to see someone before they actually sign the papers, if that's ultimately more convenient.
And if it would make the new
Would it
owner
be
feel better.
conditioned that they could just come and talk with Amy? If we've got a long.
If we do,
Well,
if
yeah,
we
the
do
long
transfer any lots, the
statement.
order of condition has to go to the
We'll
other
go
attorney
them
because
with
the
them.
attorneys drag it out with the purchase and sales.
The problem is that we,
Jumping around. There's
whenever you buy a lot, right? Oh, it's a big stack of papers, just sign whatever they put in front of you.
No builder just signs away without looking at the order of condition. None.
But the owner will, the ultimate owner.
The owners don't read.
Or,
So what happens when there's another sale, the owner stays from?
Anytime it sells, they still have to come back in.
Before a certificate of compliance is
well, there's
issued.
the COC.
So once they get a certificate of compliance, they can sell it all they want to, and they don't have to come back in.
Oh, so,
Which makes sense, because it's a stable
So,
site, so.
do you have the ability to hold up a sale that way? By timing of meetings every 2 weeks or whatever?
Well, that's why I'm saying that.
That's a problem for me.
Well,
That's why I wanted- that's why I wanted to get
I
the
would
word
like to
next.
structure it in a way that allows them to come in even before the meeting. You know, so if closing's on Wednesday and everything's all buttoned up, they can come in on the Monday before that.
You would hope that from the time.
Well, they come in
of the
2 months before if they
P&S
wanted to.
the
Or 2
closing,
months.
that's usually enough time to come in.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It will be from us transferring it over.
Right.
I'm thinking
I mean, we meet
further
every 2
down
weeks.
the road.
So then you're out of it.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't see a problem with, once a month, let's have a Cooper Farm meeting and have people come in for 15 minutes and do
Meet
them
their
as a group.
neighbors.
So they don't have to
We're putting
be,
the onus on us, so I think that as long as it doesn't say next.
yeah. That's why I question where it's
That
next.
only pertains to the 5 through 16, correct?
No.
Yeah, anything
Yes.
that's in our jurisdiction.
And that only pertains to 5 through 16, not
Correct.
the rest of them.
Well,
Just the ones that are in our.
actually, that's true, because this has nothing to do with the houses.
Right.
This would just be if
That-
you
they-
happen
they
to
were
sell the
cartoon-
entire
they were
project.
cartoon characters on a drawing, as Chase said.
This
So-
this has to do with the road, the septic, the basins.
Because all the other ones
This
are
sort of conditions.
individually.
So this would
No.
really only apply if you sold the whole damn project to somebody
Correct.
else.
But it
We'll
only
probably have the
pertains
same,
to 5
we will
through-
have the same condition for
Which
the
is
houses.
not happening, by the way. All right, let's move on.
But you will
So
see
you
that
were-
again when we deal with each individual lot that is in the buffer zone or has a resource area on it.
So Amy, you wanted to change the word next to
He
A?
wants to take next out.
I take out the next and just put in A scheduled.
A
meeting.
scheduled means, yep, okay.
But I think that comes with your communication, that as soon as the PNS, or just let the
Well,
broker, let
it'll be
the broker
attached,
know.
there'll be an order conditions attached to the information that they get.
Just highlight it for them. Do any of the,
And are you okay with the homeowner language? That it be set up, what was it?
It was,
You know, it would be number 4 at the top of this page. X-4 on top of that.
why would it be within the project? It would only be 5 through, it would only be 5 through 16.
Well, because the homeowner's agreement is gonna have to do with how the basins and
Yeah,
septic
and the
and all
trailer
that
basin.
are
Yeah,
maintained.
but, I mean, this is saying in accordance,
it's.
any conveyance. So if lot 23, which is outside of the, all of it,
So my thinking on that, Matt, was that you're gonna maintain all the infrastructure, at least initially. You need a homeowners association to come in and do it after you are out of the picture, but before the town takes over. I think that homeowners association is one that's gonna require the involvement of all of the lots, not just the individual lot owners. Because we're talking about, basins that are serving the project as a whole,
Okay.
not really each and every lot. So, in order to get a homeowners association on record that affects all of the lots, you gotta do that before you sell off the first lot. So
Okay.
I wasn't attempting to,
hamstring.
hamstring you. It just, the mechanics of it are such that you gotta get the association.
You gotta go with that step before you can do,
Right.
You gotta get, because if you sell one lot out before you get the homeowners association on record, that lot, you can never get that lot back.
Okay.
So you gotta do that while you own everything.
And you
But I
got
can
that,
work,
that sewer line really goes for everybody.
well, that portion does. And as he said, so do all of the, even if you're on Vint Lane, which is on the top, the people down on Field Lane still are party to that basin up top because it's part of the association.
I think it's,
I agree with that.
okay.
Yeah, just to make sure, it's 'cause that's.
So with a few minor changes, in terms of some of the succession of these numbers, things that we've chatted about this evening, I think there's fairly minor changes. I feel comfortable submitting these, as outlined.
I just, the C15 about at the end of each workday, the applicant shall mechanically sweep sediments. I mean, is that realistically something that can be enforced or? You know, is
Well,
that-
here's,
I mean,
so,
you have an escape hatch there, and less tracking, and
Yeah.
sediment is not evident on the streets. So
Right.
I would say if it is evident on the streets, then
Yeah.
it
Does
should
that
be
seem
fine.
reasonable?
It is, I have no problem with that, because
Yeah.
if you go up to Oak Road, where we're building now, at the end of every day,
Right.
we scrape the street and we use our power broom.
Yep, okay.
I think
mean,
it's,
we
I
do
think it's
that
best
on-
practices
Yep.
for.
Yeah, we do it on every job anyways, because
Okay.
Especially when you
this
have
is the way
buyers
to
coming
go.
in and driving around, so.
And then are you, the test pits of the,
Right.
does that seem fair?
The ones,
We've
You-
talked about that.
we already talked
We've
about
talked
it, we
about that
agreed
in
to that.
committee.
Yeah,
You
we
probably
already-
weren't
And
here,
that's
but yeah, we talked
language
about
that
that.
I worked with Green on to craft,
Right.
so
You've
that
seen
it
yeah.
complied with, what you're trying to.
I agree with that, we don't need to
Okay.
talk about it.
All right, then, yeah, then I'm fine.
Okay, so motion is on the floor for those to be issued, or
So we
seconded
get a
first.
second.
Second,
Wait, who moved it?
I moved it.
I seconded it.
Okay, folks, that's all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now that's done.
I will try to get this out tomorrow.
I
Do you want me to
would
let you
love it.
know so you can come pick it up to get it
Yeah,
recorded?
I will come, just call me. and
Yeah, I'll
come
let
in.
you know.
Yeah,
What time is
I'll come
the
in.
No- no
deadline
guarantee.
tomorrow? Because you gave us 24 hours or 48 hours?
I give,
Till close of business.
close the business tomorrow.
This is
That's at noon.
only for the road and
For
something.
Right.
Yes.
For tomorrow,
Right.
correct.
The other,
That's
the other
Amy's
lots
main
will be
focus
done.
tomorrow.
Now, when would the other lots be done that we talked about?
We have 21 days from when we close the hearing.
Okay, perfect. I'm in.
So we can use the, almost the exact same ones. The only issue potentially is the mowing, restoration, seeding stuff in a couple areas. Oh, and I wanted to check,
About the, whether
Ownership
Cooper,
and-
the other,
Steve Marsh's stuff.
right, if
Doesn't have
that,
to be listed, does
and
it?
I would have, I'm gonna have to confirm with Jonathan, I can't find a plan that showed. The question is, this parcel, does any of that touch any of these 5 through 16? The,
No,
Dan Chisholm's?
No.
Yeah,
Is
'cause I,
that
no.
clearly?
the way the
No,
NOI
the
said,
lot
I know we
line
have to
comes-
record all these.
the lot
Yeah.
line comes from here
Yeah,
down this
Okay.
way and across through here,
yeah, all right,
and then down
then,
to this line.
yeah,
It doesn't hit any of those.
okay, I couldn't
Because we
say
only
for certain,
gained,
so.
we only gained when we went from the Cooper to the other one. We gained 2 lots on that, and then allowed us to do
So
a larger
So-
number of.
the road
55
notice of
lots.
intent needs both
Yeah.
properties referenced. The house notice of intent only needs the 180 Great Road lot referenced.
Let's go through that again, because that was.
Yeah, that
confusing
was very
for me. So
confusing.
let's-
Yeah.
Okay, so the order of
204-833, which is for the road.
Mhm, which we
That order
just
of
did.
conditions is referencing 2 lots, I believe, 180 Great Road and 0 Goldsmith.
Yeah.
Okay. And then each of the house lots is only gonna refer to 180 Great Road,
Correct.
because 0 Goldsmith isn't a bond.
And then
Correct.
you know all the plans that you're gonna reference in that order of conditions.
Well, I believe you're gonna be redoing the plans
You'll
with the
get
size.
a revised set of all these individual lots to reference.
Okay, but she has to
But
reference
this-
that tomorrow.
No,
No?
well,
No.
you haven't closed the house lots yet.
No, I'm talking
Right.
about for the road.
This
road
one-
I'm all
this-
set.
This one's,
So the
yeah,
road
this
you're all
one's good
set,
to
okay.
go. This one should be ready
Yeah.
to.
Okay,
I'm gonna double check what I have for the most recent
Yeah.
with you, but
so,
This is 3/9/17, the most recent one, so.
which I don't have that with
I'm
me.
hoping you'll make yourself available to Amy tomorrow morning if there's a question such as
Absolutely.
that only you
Yep.
can answer.
Yeah, feel
Do you have
free.
a cell number?
I can probably email it to you
I'll be
tonight.
in the
I've already
office
done
that
it, I
day.
think, so I just wanted to
Yep.
double check.
Okay.
So the main focus is for Amy to get order of conditions done tomorrow, and then our next,
Yeah, but you got the blank to sign.
Do we have to come to the following
Thank
meeting
you.
for the, anything else?
He's
that
just
you
catching
know
on to
about?
me.
I mean, we may discuss the order of conditions associated with each individual lot.
I think it would behoove you to come, and we've come this far.
I
and we're
would,
trying to
I have
get
no problem
communication.
coming,
Yeah.
There will be a discussion of the order of conditions.
then I would like to be here.
So the next is April 17th.
I know.
Well,
There's that.
My brother's coming.
that discussion of order of conditions for the lots is presuming that we closed the public hearing on those lots.
Yeah, because it hasn't been closed yet.
We haven't closed those.
Okay.
Hold it.
Why don't we just have the discussion now then, and get it?
Let's get it over with.
I mean,
We can, but I like to, I prefer to see the draft in front of us, but.
Okay, we can do that, but just, I would feel better so that there's no surprises when your brother shows up.
Yep.
That we've had this discussion.
Yep. He's sitting home watching this. He hurt his back today pulling concrete.
Hurt yours too. Back day.
I was just moving a desk drawer, but that's okay.
Pulling concrete.
I'll admit, I'm not as much.
You look very
So,
spry.
but that way, I mean, we've talked about most of the things tonight anyways. So I agree with Chase, that it's nice to see it written up. On a case per case, I think there were just a few in terms of that we need to talk about what is going to be seeded, and that was the first one that we talked about in terms of seed mix in that area.
It would be lot 10.
Yep, so,
Lot
There was
five,
two.
five also has some area that's
Yeah, I was
Not
trying not to
wooded.
talk about that one.
still so.
okay, but see, there's still no surprises,
Yeah.
so, okay, so let's leave these open, let's have Amy focus on that order of conditions, and then we'll bring order of conditions to the next, meeting and close off individually all of those.
Okay. Can,
Wait, I'm
so
sorry,
that holds us up an additional,
But we don't have them,
Two-
we don't have them tonight
I understand
to
that.
sign,
I'm
and they're
just,
not drafted, so we
I
wouldn't.
understand that, but you could close the meeting.
We could yeah.
We could
Yeah,
close the
yeah,
meeting.
That's right.
Absolutely, we could close
Okay,
them
so
and
that's what
issue
I'm,
those.
that's what I would like to do to start the 21-day
Yep.
process.
Absolutely. So we have to make a motion that includes all of the,
5 through
Those
16.
lots, 204-838 through 204-849.
so we need to have a motion to
Go
that to
ahead.
close.
Go ahead.
I move that we close the public hearing on DEP numbers 204-838 through 204-849.
839, isn't it? No,
849.
849,
49,
sorry.
right.
Sorry, I wrote it wrong.
Are we still identifying those as 180 Great Road,
Yeah.
map U05 and U11, parcel 5 and 61?
There's only one, I wouldn't bother with the parcels, because I'm not writing any of that down. Sorry.
Okay, so you have that motion?
Yes, I do.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So 21 days start, and we will start to work on those order of conditions.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate everybody's time and work on this. I really
Matt.
do.
We had somebody come in tonight to put a bike path in between 2A and Goldsmith Street.
Through Church Meadows. Did they come and talk to you?
I'm the one who suggested it to them.
Okay, the thing is, he wants to pave it, and it's gonna go through wetlands.
That's crazy.
You suggested it.
No, I said if you wanted to put your bike path in, we're not building you a bike path behind 55 and overs. Put it through the church meadow if you want.
So, they've suggested a site walk Saturday morning, 8 AM.
You're welcome to go on the site,
Thank you.
but
So that
we're
way
not,
they can
we're not
see-
paving anything behind.
And they need to see the water in terms of, be able to see, it's a perfect time to see it. to
Say
see
no.
where-
Well, they said the property line goes pretty tight to this row of trees and,
What does
and
it do?
the, and
What
the
does the bike
stone.
path do?
Gonna dump them out from Goldsmith Street onto 2A and get hit
Is
by
that
a
all it's gonna
car.
do is
So
just
you're
go
building a nice
across?
sidewalk there.
Does it connect to anything else?
You're a piece of
Is
work.
it 4 or is it 5 feet?
No,
Piece of
we
work,
work,
Chase.
we want that connection.
Oh.
I want the connection too, but it doesn't need to be a bike path.
But that's been planned for a while, the connection of a bike path,
Yes,
or
but-
bike or
well-
walking, bike or walk. But the reason you want it paved is for ADA compliance.
Well, none of our other paths, Oak Hill's not ADA compliant, nor is Newtown Road. I mean, there is no ADA compliant. That's crazy. Thank you very much for your time.
It's out Saturday at 8 if you wanna walk it.
It never got
Well,
recorded.
it's Saturday at 8 if you wanna walk it.
I'll be there.
I sent another copy.
I'll be there.
Notarized copy.
Okay.
I think it's going to you, whoever does it.
It's good seeing you, Matt.
Okay, so we have to talk about, is there anything on the original start of the meeting that needs
Yeah,
to be addressed?
Unfortunately, the K property preliminary subdivision application comments, which we have, what, 2 days to issue? If I'm,
Yeah.
may, I would like to outline what I see as the issues, and then you guys can tell me if I'm crazy.
I started trying to figure out what the watersheds were, but I gave up, so.
So Carl, you may be able to chime in on this one as well, because you know that pretty well. So this is our only comment period left.
I mean, before
Well,
they.
before they,
apply.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the planning board is receiving comments and consider, so, Durkee through here, and then we had this wetland, and then this wetland, which I think surprised them a little bit. The plan involves a road coming in off of Grimes, connecting with this road from Durkee, and then another cul-de-sac here from Durkee. Here's the really hairy part of it. This road is crossing this wetland right here. Not only is it crossing this wetland, but in a lot of ways, it's disconnecting this wetland
Right.
from here. Now, they have proposed a replication area down in this
I think that's what that
notch.
is, yeah.
Maybe you're still cutting.
Right,
off the
so
other side.
my comment here would be that if we're going to replicate these, that replication area needs to presume that this wetland is no longer functional as well.
Why not put a French drain underneath the road so it stays connected?
Hydrologically, yes, but ecologically, no.
Put a drain pipe, if you're
So
worried about
let's,
it.
but, wait a minute, so what we need to do is, we're trying to give them the areas that we're,
Put a drain pipe in there.
It's not a stream.
Wood drain pipe and just have an arc or
Is it a bridge?
A bridge.
What's the distance?
Well,
I think you're getting details you probably don't need to get into.
Yeah,
so all we're trying to do is to put areas of interest for us.
and I think, in terms of changing how they laid this out, there is an idea of pulling the road off of this cul-de-sac, which isn't built yet, and connecting it and then terminating the road
Right.
here. But those are, I think, outside of the scope of
Is that another little wetland
our review.
right there?
This.
Red?
No, over to your right, no,
This-
from that,
Green is wetland.
What I'm kind of
Sorry.
wondering, in general,
this.
We'd rather have them not put that road.
All right,
in
yeah,
and just
that's the
come
off-site wetland.
intersect more.
These red things are the
That makes
wildlife
sense to
access
me.
corridors.
Can they do that? Can they
So
come off
is
their
this
cul
connected
Well,
to this?
there are gonna be some planning board regs
That's a basin,
that'll dictate
Proposed
how
basin.
long
Right.
that spur can be.
but I wasn't
And
clear.
I
if it was
don't
going
even
this way
know
or that
then
way.
if, I don't know if they
Yeah.
can. Would-
yeah, but
They'd
you
have
make
to
it
dig into
a
the
fire
regs.
department or a safety issue too.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
If it doesn't come out on the Grimes Lane egress.
Mhm. Well, and that's
Yeah,
the
but
question.
I'm not sure
right?
connecting to this, because you have to have the right arc. You're gonna lose at least 2 lots if they do it.
Okay, so let's get
But
back,
that's-
to the
yeah.
comment period. So in terms of areas of interest that we would like to comment on.
This, these red lines are the wildlife access corridors, and this is actually over here further. So I guess that's not as goofy as it looks, but you kind of defeat the purpose of this wildlife access corridor,
Mhm.
sort of. I wasn't sure where the drainage of this thing's going, of this area, because they don't have a basin here, do they? I
No.
didn't see one.
No, and this all comes off that backside of the slope, so that's
Yeah,
it.
and I wasn't sure, what's happened to the watersheds up here.
Yep.
And I think they were supposed to have trail access. I don't know what happened to that. There's the,
I'm kind of wondering, and I didn't get out there today, but they tell me that the pond that was on Durkee's property is way overflowing.
This one? Yeah.
And I'm wondering
Really?
what the rest of it is gonna do. That, they haven't figured
they're
out
washing their
yet.
concrete trucks.
Oh.
What?
This is the greatest picture, but this is what that pond looks like now. Here's, I can't remember what number of house that is.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's,
That's the pond?
yeah, it's this house right there, lot
There's a
7,
pond,
Wow.
and it's gonna be,
It's-
tomorrow, it's gonna even
like-
be greater.
way up in here.
Is that just runoff that's doing that?
I think they cut it off.
Groundwater?
I think there used to be tile drains or something under there.
Yeah.
And they cut them off. Nobody knew they were there. I don't know.
Well, it could have been too, there was a swale or something that just flowed over the top when it did
Right,
flood.
and now it doesn't, now,
Now it's trapped.
So what lot were they washing the concrete on?
Up in here. Yeah, it's probably for that foundation there, washing it up in the dirt up here, is going into this catch basin right there.
You see it's there. That's-
And the erosion controls down in here need some attention. This
Mhm.
basin's really flooded and is not dried.
There's another bit, oh, yeah, no, you're right, it is,
Yes.
Are they gonna be able to do anything about this pond? And to change
It,
the,
it depends whether we allow them to do anything. If we
I talked to
don't,
Jim Gareffi, he told them not to do any more septic systems over there until it dries out, because they're just gonna get.
But
they're
if
not
you
gonna
got
work
it
on the block
flooded
up.
now,
It's
it's
gonna
gonna be
happen, it's gonna be
flooded.
like Trout Lane all over again.
Yeah, we don't wanna,
sorry.
we've already got ourselves in the situation already. They got water backing up to the back of the house.
I mean,
I think we should call them in.
It's already, it's gonna be an ongoing
It might be worth it,
problem.
because you probably, Dave Guthrie has not gotten back to me about having the homeowners come in. You know,
But is it,
So,
are we under a
Isn't it his
flood, are we under a
responsibility?
flood, yeah, it is. Are we under a flood situation where we need to have them do any type of immediate action in terms of dewatering somewhere or?
it's up against, you know, it's probably on this topo line, it's pretty close to this guy's foundation, it's not flooding that, it's not flooding the road.
where's the septic? On the other side of the house? or-
all the septics are in the front of the houses.
Are they all, I know on this side they're all in the front.
I'm
Jim and I couldn't remember,
pretty
neither had
sure
a
they're
plan
all
to
in
clear
the
the back,
front,
but,
too.
So I mean, it's gotta be, if it's that close, it's gotta be flooding a septic system.
and, you know, if they feel the need that they need to put a relief, you know, equalizing culvert or something in there, fine, but they gotta come.
Immediately.
Or we say no.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this is an infiltration basin in principle, is that right?
I forget what that one is, but it's fully, it's not,
It's
It's
not
not
doing a
infiltrated, it's
damn
not-
thing.
it's not
saturated.
dewatering. It's, you know, it's holding water a lot longer than 72 hours. It's been flooded since my last site visit in February,
Mhm.
both of these.
Yeah, and when I went out there in
right.
early January, it was simply.
Out of curiosity, where are those, where the two
Is that ground
cement
fro- is that
tiles
ground
were
frozen, Chase?
on here?
I'm
I'm
sorry?
suspecting
ground
there's
frozen in
springs
that basin?
underneath them.
It's unfrozen underneath liquid water.
I talked to Green Affiliates, and we were both, you know, kind of keeping an eye on this thing and see if, because there has been a lot of rain and snow melt recently, but it's been kind of static.
Well, after tonight, after this Thursday, it's gonna be even a greater situation.
But in terms of comments for the planning board on this, we've got this, we've got watersheds associated with a lot of these that seem to just drain off the backside.
But after these storms is the time to go and re-look at that, because you may be looking at additional flood storage area that we weren't able to see on the ground.
You
Possible.
gotta-
It's pretty slopey in there, but it's certainly possible,
You gotta
especially up in
remember
here.
that all of this was all engineered on 2 years of dry weather.
Right.
And now with
That's a good
the
point.
water table is coming back up, and that's gonna change the perspective of things.
That's why I think you need to re-walk.
At least
Those
drive by
lines.
and
Yeah, I agree. Based on, yep.
So for K parcel, concern over the wetland crossing, cutting off that lobe and what mitigation may or may not needed. And just generally the watersheds, pre and post, where they're draining towards wetlands.
And wildlife corridor
Yeah.
placement.
Right, certainly, and I would say there, in terms of watersheds, adequate design points to ensure that, because we've seen this with a number of projects, adequate design points to make sure that the wetlands themselves are receiving comparable pre and post-construction runoff,
Yeah,
not
'cause
just.
this one, I wasn't sure where that one was gonna go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that, it's fine if they have design points at where the water exits the
What
property.
is the
but-
red there, Amy?
These reds were,
No, that red.
those are basins.
So what about trail access?
I thought they were supposed to have trail access, I just didn't see it.
There was supposed to
Safe
be,
for them to
I don't know what became
It's
of
kinda
it.
not,
Well, that's a concern, so just,
yeah.
So,
you've got good points.
this all wet over here?
Yes,
This-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is all wet?
Yep.
But-
This is wet.
Yeah,
This is- this is
that's
up.
what down there.
That's up. Is this considered,
The
this
drum
is
store.
considered their open space?
Well, that's a whole
Yes.
planning board issue, because they were already going to give this
I was gonna say, so they.
for,
they-
as
are
part
they-
of this, so it's
uh,
like they're double
is it-
counting, so there's some
Are they
issues.
taking credit for, like, this is the K property, right?
Yeah,
This seems overbuilt to me.
It is very
21
dense.
houses in there.
I agree, you can't double count on that, though.
yeah, and I'm not sure if I'm understanding that issue correctly, but
I mean, squeezing a lot up in a corner, I mean, it's really overbuilt.
Okay.
They sucked every square inch out of it.
Is there anything else on the
as only they should.
agenda?
Yes.
Sidewalk updates?
So I'm gonna put that
Is there
together.
anything else?
Kinghorn is getting ready
Huh?
to go. I remind him he needs to do his CR.
All right. What'd you say?
Each house, that's what they're selling for?
Kinghorn,
Oh, Nagog Hill Road?
yeah.
Ah, okay.
I just, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. I remind them they need to get the CR done before they get their occupancy permit. Turkey, you heard, Bulkley Road, Doug Shaw. It was 527 Bulkley, but it's actually across, it's the older house near where the log cabin was.
You went
built.
over and took a look at that?
Yeah, and I remind Doug that those erosion controls are not in very good shape. Now, the point of all this, I'm not sure if anybody wants to do site walks in any of these things, take a look at them. 300 Foster's gotten going, so far so good. 21 Bulkley, which is lots 5-4.
I'd be interested to see how 300 Foster deals with compaction with this weather.
I've been out there twice, because they said they were gonna draw down that pond, so I've been going out there to watch it, and the equipment hasn't been moving. They have done stuff, but I haven't seen anybody on the site, so I'm not sure how much they're actually working. Lots 5, 4, and 5, 6 on Bulkley are actually right now looking good. Bennett Orchard, finally get back out there, looks nice. They got their basins in and they're stable and amazingly not flooded. Chestnut Lane actually is kinda under control. That's where those. So, and the point. So I don't know if anybody wanted to see Bulkley Lane, that house by itself and the lawn behind it, because Doug's not responding to me, although I just sent him another email today. Or the point, 15 Great Road. That was another one, because I haven't written that up. 15 Great Road, Leslie French from Omni is willing to meet Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday
To do what?
to do a site walk out there, because there's some things going on. So I know if anybody wanted to go with me, or if I should just
I
go
can do Thursday, I can do Wednesday.
any particular time. She said any time, so.
Why don't you just call me in the morning and we'll figure it out?
Let me know what time you're going, and try and coordinate it.
And then
now?
here's Kayla.
15 Great.
Oh, yeah, we haven't been out there in a long time.
Spraying?
Spring, doing their herbicide,
Where?
right away stuff.
Oh, okay, right away. That's fine.
What else do we have on here?
I think that with the rains and the conditions, everybody should just kind of have an opportunity, and you know that the site is fragile, to kind of take a drive by and look at any of the sites. And then just, if you have a concern, just get back to Amy. We're trying to keep on top of the point as well, but there's a lot of rain coming.
Oh, and the annuals, okay, Gerald James submitted some stuff on salt. Anybody wanna see it?
Oh, you sent that via
That's
email.
right.
It essentially talks about pretreatment as a means of reducing salt usage.
So I had a
I will
long
look at
discussion with him.
that.
There's not much you guys, the Concom, can do about it. It's really a highway board of selectmen type issue, but he's chasing it.
I have a paper that was recently published to send him through you.
Oh, okay, good. There's gonna be new natural heritage maps. And of course, they don't haven't redlined them, so I can't tell where the changes are without like really looking at it.
When did they update them?
The comment period ends on June 3rd.
And they didn't tell you what is new?
I opened them up really quickly and I could not,
I mean, should
wasn't
we
obvious to
issue a
me.
comment that's,
Yeah, I
that
would
says
be-
that they need to
I
have
would
a
like to see it.
change allowed?
Like, no, like what their new,
But I mean, if the comment period is
I
still
went online
open,
and looked
but
and I was like, oh my God, I can't read this, so I stopped
I think that's a
looking.
perfectly reasonable comment, though.
Yeah, where the changes made.
Yeah,
And
right,
maybe they're on
identify the
there and
changes.
the frame I opened just didn't show something,
Right.
Okay.
so, but just so you know, there's the point,
that was a shocker
You
the
were looking
last
at the
time I did it.
maps?
yeah,
Amy looked at the map.
yeah, the natural heritage ones.
You're a map guy.
Hey, if they're not showing the changes, I can't do anything with them if they
Right.
don't show where the changes have been made.
Is there any more?
The only other thing was, I had told Lisa that you probably wouldn't get to the leash law today, but since she was here, I put it on the
leash
agenda in case you
law.
did want to talk about the leash law. Otherwise, she's on the agenda for 2 weeks from now, you
I'll
would
wait.
haul her back in.
You wait. Ah, it's fresh in your mind now.
Is there an incident, or is it just something you want?
I'm actually more interested in possibly designating a trail space in town for like, as to be the off-leash dog spot.
I saw that on the
Yeah,
Trails
that was
Facebook
me who
page.
started that
Okay.
conversation, so I just wanted to get.
And that's,
Interesting
that's
idea.
popular when you go to certain beaches, like you go to Cranes Beach, there's off-leash, there's
Yeah,
leash.
times a year, or even certain hours, or just one
Yep.
spot in
So
particular.
that is certainly appropriate.
Essentially a doggy park.
But not like
It's
a-
also,
yeah.
no, there's a stronger protection for those people that, A, want to be in a secure area with their animals, because not everybody follows common practice.
Yeah.
So, and it is dangerous, especially when you have an older dog and all of a sudden it gets, greeted by an aggressive dog. So, I mean, there's
Yeah,
a big
there's
thought there.
definitely a conversation, a big conversation.
My dog hates border collies because she got terrorized by border collies when she was a puppy.
Oh.
So this was great. Is there anybody who'd be willing to like answer a few emails from me?
Well, if he,
Probably.
He can do it for you
He
then.
can-
Well, I mean,
you.
Yeah, let you do it.
Any questions
You're
you
the
have,
youngest
sure.
member.
I'll give you my email address so you can.
Okay. Thank
Oh,
you.
did I say it out loud? The land stewards submitted the annual report.
Yeah. Oh, did Scott send it out?
Scott sent it out,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
I don't know if anybody wants to see it, I guess.
He did a fine job
Could
putting
I
it
have
together.
a motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:45 for somebody?
I'll motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:45 PM.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Took you a
All those in
while.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, everyone's just a little
Take it, George.
Well, we'd like to stay another